been forever.
It's been
Let's get
so
back
long.
into anything.
Let's dive right into
We're
this
now
shit.
continuing. Oh yeah.
Oh, by the way,
Ready
I
Player
am
2.
CraigMakk. I am CraigMakk. You are.
Serious Jest.
And this is Ready Player 2, a subset
Yes.
of Live from the Man Cave.
Oh yeah.
Yep. We got some crazy shit going on. We play video games. We get drunk. He makes fun of me because I play him so terribly
Squid
and
out.
fuck up all the time.
Start hanking the bar.
We start hanking the bar. It's fucking great. Tell all your friends. All the cool kids are hanking the bar now. It's awesome, man. I love it. Hashtag hanking the bar on the back of the t-shirt. Live from the Man Cave.
Live from the Man Cave.
All right, so tell the people out there, what is Ready Player 2? What's it all about?
Both play video games together and drink. And
Wow.
you know, basically it's Ready Player 1, Ready Player 2. The show doesn't start without both players readied up and ready to go. In this case, though, ironically, this is a one-player game, which I've already played before. But I thought it was so good because of the butterfly effect and everything that by the time I finished playing it for myself, and I could see the story that I created through my choices, I went back and I told Craig, man, I want to play this again, but I want to just pick shit just to fucking pick it, and I'm really interested in seeing what you're going to pick. Yes. So basically now I just drink and heckle Craig while Craig plays through it, and then we talk about basically anything that comes to mind. So if you're just tuning in now and it's Mission 23, and if you're live, we will drop some explanation for you as to like where we are now. I'm trying to make this thing make sense for you to be live. You can comment. We'll address your comments and all that shit. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel or it's still on our Twitch channel, but our YouTube channel is youtube.com/livemancave. And if you're watching this on Twitch while it's still up, before it automatically erases after a couple weeks, and you haven't checked out the prior missions, go to youtube.com/livemancave. And watch those prior missions.
Yep.
You don't have to watch the conversation around them because that's what makes them really long. So if you look at something you see like an hour or 2 hours or like, don't worry, the actual gameplay is like 5 to 15 minutes on each one. All right, you can just use your fucking mouse to scroll through. Right. Yep. You use your mouse to scroll through, find where the video game action is, just so you could see. Getting caught up on the 22 missions before this, just to see where the story is now, so this makes sense and why it's making sense. Yes. And hopefully you'll stick with us through the rest of the story and maybe start catching some of these live and check out our conversation on it.
I don't think we've mentioned, by the way, this is Detroit Become Human. Even though if you're watching this, you probably already know that. But in case if you just came on and just showed up and you saw the screen that says chapters and you're like, the fuck are these guys talking about? We're playing Detroit Become Human. That's the game that we are in the middle of playing, that Jess has already played through, that I am playing through for the very first time. So I think I just want to make sure in case we didn't say that. Yep. So keep going.
So let's get to the other big player in this whole thing, in this whole project, and that is
Third
beer.
Mike. Are you talking about Third Mike?
The Third Mike, beer.
The
speaks
decision
through
maker.
us.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
So why don't you dive in? I went first last time, and it was a doozy. So let's see what you do for this one.
This one is a beer that, all right, so I've been very vocal, like in our podcast, in past episodes of this, in our episodes of Live from the MCU, which you could also find in our regular podcasts. You know, it's on iTunes. It's called Live from the Man Cave, and then we do a project called Live from the MCU that's part of that, and I'll repost that in our chat room in a sec. But I've been very vocal that as I get older, IPAs are becoming less and less appealing to me. So I don't know what it is. It's like maybe like they don't hit my digestive system that well, or like I don't know, the flavor just does, I mean the high hop content just doesn't, I don't get the same pleasure from it in my older age, but so I've been leaning off them. However, there's been a new kind of like trend in which they're just not just going for high hops IPA, like let's just go with the high hops, and like they're really trying to do different things with IPAs lately. And one of these brewers, I gotta be honest, I just love this brewer. I think they're top tier brewer. I first had their beer here when on Live from the Man Cave, actually in the Man Cave live, when Craig used it as one of the beers of the show. Used one of their beers as a beer of the show, but the brewer always stuck with me. I've never had one from them I disliked. And when I saw this particular IPA that they produced that just had so many interesting facets to it, I had to say, fuck it, I'm going to make this a beer of the show. So the brewer is Firestone Walker Brewer Company.
Nice.
And when I looked at the description on this bottle, first of all, the label says flavors through hops. All right. Yep. Let's see where they're going with this. There's a picture of like a fucking bear and a lion fighting with some kind of like fucking with some kind of like fucking what's that fucking Dragon Ball Z type of fucking fireball in between them, like they're shooting fireballs at each other. And it's called the Luponic Distortion IPA series number 10.
Yep.
And this one is hints of mango creamsicle, peach ring, and ruby grapefruit rather, flavors through hops. All right, so this was apparently bottled in July of last year, so it's had a little bit of time to age.
Nice. Luponic Distortion, by the way, if people, just in case anyone cares, Luponic Distortion is actually like, because you said it's number 10, they actually do have like a ton. It's a series of beers, so they have more than that because they go up to like 12, 13, something like that. So it's basically they're like I think, and I don't know 100%, but I think it's like their trial, like where they just try all kinds of different shit and they roll them out, and like if they click and they hit, they can turn them into something, right? But it's like it's their way to try some cool shit, and there are some amazing Luponic Distortions. So I don't know if I've ever had, which one is this? You said 10?
Number 10, yeah.
I don't know if I've ever had 10, but it sounds amazing with the mango.
Yeah, mango creamsicle, peach ring, and ruby grapefruit. Hints of these. So as I cracked open the nose of the bottle, I was not hit. Remember how so on the last one of these shows, my choice was Lagunitas. It was
Super Cluster.
Yeah, Super Cluster. That's what it was. So that was 8% hops ABV ale, and it was not an IPA though, right? This one was an IPA, right? And you would. I think it was a pale ale. Yeah.
Yep.
And so this one. Usually with the IPAs, like the smell just like of hops hits you right out the gate. So I would say the Super Cluster was hit me more with the hop smell. First it led with the citrus and the hops smell on the back end. I'm not finding the ABV on this. There's less of a smell, and I don't know if it's because it's still like super cold because I pulled it out of my fridge. But let's see. Let's see what it tastes like. Okay, so this is mostly that good Firestone Walker IPA. The hints, when they say hints, they're not kidding. Like let me try again.
This is 5.9, by the way.
5.9% alcohol?
Yep.
Is that what this is? All right,
that's
good to know.
Number 10, yep.
So that's why it tastes like less, it doesn't punch you in the mouth.
Yep.
I was actually going to say it's smooth for an IPA. It's a very smooth IPA. I gotta say, man, like I'm not tasting a lot of like. There is a hint is a perfect description. As the last of the gulp goes down my throat, I caught a fleeting glimpse of the mango creamsicle, like the peach, the grapefruit. It's almost like it's almost imperceptible unless you concentrate on that flavor. The beer is good.
That's a bit of a bummer though, because that seems that's the big winner to me. Is like, man, I would love to have a fucking mango creamsicle right now. Like that sounds delicious.
Yeah, no, it's a hint.
Okay.
On the back end, and again, like this is one of those things where if you want to taste that, you literally, like the philosopher says, you know what, you want to really enjoy life or whatever, like close your eyes and eat an apple, and don't watch TV while you do it. Don't fucking, like sensory deprivation except for what you're drinking right now, and if you do that, like I'm sure you could pick the notes out even better. But that's the kind of attention you have to like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I really had to focus on that back end to kind of like flavor, and it's there. But so again, Firestone Walker makes an amazing beer. So even though I'm not into IPAs lately, I could fucking drink a bunch of these right now just because it is a smooth IPA taste.
Nice.
Not too hoppy, like a little bit of punch. Not anything that leaves you like sitting in your stomach or leaves you thinking like, oh man, I don't know how many of these I could drink, in one shot. This is really fucking good as a solid IPA. those other things are hints at best. So if you're looking for something that tastes like gives you like a myriad of flavors, like in addition to the beer, and kind of gives you the, like somewhat of a strong fruit hint or note or whatever, this isn't it. But it's solid.
Nice.
It's good.
So there are some really good luponic distortions, by the way. I highly recommend. I believe.
Do they have more? Are they more pronounced on the stuff they mix it with, or?
Some of them are. The ones that I've had, I believe I actually have one in the man cave right now that I think I might have 3, which is the one that I like the most. Some of them are pretty like flavor forward, like you get kicked in the face. Other ones are just like, hey, it's just a really good IPA, right? That has like a little bit, like you said, a little bit of a back end flavor. So that's kind of like the way they go. But I guess it's more a little. It's a bit more of a bummer on that end, because when you go saying like this is going to be grapefruit, like peach, ruby grapefruit peach, and mango creamsicle, like I'm expecting this to taste like fucking a goddamn milkshake, and like when it doesn't, I'm a little bit like, it's like the way I feel sometimes about like when certain beers are like this too, but like when wines and they're like, oh, it's gonna taste like, and they name 15 different things, and you're like, I don't taste any of this shit. Like, did you have somebody who has like a super sense like tongue taste this? Because it sounds like you're just making shit up, and I don't like when they do that. Like it just bums me out when you like oversell the flavors that are in your beer, and they're not noticeable. And part of that might just be
placebo beer.
Yeah, it's like part of that could be it's maybe I just don't have the maybe it's my palate. I don't know. But like when I'm looking for one thing and I don't get it, it's kind of a bit of an it lets you down a little bit. So this one seems like one that would make me slightly upset. But I like the fact that at least you say, hey, even if it doesn't taste like that, it's still good. Because Firestone Walker does not make bad beer. Let's just say that. Like I have not had a bad one.
Never had a bad one.
They're not bad beers. It is just a matter of did they sell you a name or a description that maybe doesn't match up with the way you taste it is different than did this still not taste good. So it's good to know at least that it tastes good. So that's cool.
I gotta say, it tastes like they filtered out all the things that I kind of don't appreciate about IPAs anymore. They filtered them out. Cool. So. Right. I could session these. And what'd you say my ABV was again?
It was 5.9.
Yeah, I could session
the
these.
Shit out of that. I mean, that's slightly higher than a Bud, so you're good on that. Like that's something you could drink all day. That's good. Yeah. So maybe you don't. Maybe that's part of it is like you don't want it to be too heavy on those flavors, because if it's something you're going to drink all day, if it tasted like a mango creamsicle, like heavy, then you probably would only be able to drink 1. Maybe 2 before you'd be like, this is just too sweet, and you know what I mean? Like, so maybe they kind of need it to only be on the back end, or you wouldn't be able to session it at all.
I'm with you though. When I made the decision in the beer store my liquor store to get an IPA, it was only because I was imagining this thing where heavy hops like a double jack. You know what I mean? Like a Firestone Walker Double Jack IPA, which is heavy hops, but still like probably fucking amazing. That even though I'm pulling away from IPAs, I would probably still drink those without a problem, right? So I was expecting something like that, and then like we usually see with these IPAs, right? Strong IPA flavor, but then you combat it with the fucking strong fruit flavor, and then all of a sudden you got this amazing flavor that sounds like 2 great flavors like punching it out, as you drink it. But this one kind of went the different route where they just kind of like scaled back the IPA punch, like cut out the bite of the IPA, and then gave like super low hints of fruit. So I guess I'm disappointed like you in where I thought what I was getting into was different, but they bait and switched me with something that was also really good, so I'm not that upset.
I like the idea of like, oh, you bait and switched me with another really good beer. Fuck you guys.
Yeah. Like awesome. I went in, I ordered the fucking crab legs. I was ready for some great crab legs, and he fucking switched into some magnificent lobster, and I'm like, well,
I mean, crab legs would have been amazing, but I mean, these lobsters are pretty fucking great too. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I like it. All right, so are you ready to? Should I jump in on mine or anything else you wanted to say?
Nope.
All right, I didn't want to cut you off. So mine, this brewer is one that we have talked about a little bit on this show already, is because it was a Christmas gift for me. I've talked
Oh,
about. Do you remember the name?
Evil Genius.
No, it's not Evil Genius.
Iron
It's
Hill?
not. Is
No, no,
not
no, no.
Iron
The
Hill.
one that sounds like Keebler elves live in the tree. The
Yes.
treehouse one.
Treehouse Brewery. Yes, it is. This is Treehouse Brewery from Treehouse Brewing from up in Massachusetts. I like how you were like Evil Genius to Iron Hill to you're like, oh no, the one with the Keebler elves. It's fucking awesome. It's the perfect description. That's probably what they want on the side of their can is the one with the Keebler elves live.
That's what I pictured. Keebler elves making this beer.
So if you remember, we actually drank it on one of the episodes where you were very drunk at the man cave itself.
I remember that I drank it from listening to the episode. I don't remember what it tastes like, but I remember listening to myself drunk as fuck.
How much you loved it.
So yeah, I sounded like I was really into it.
So this one is slightly different. So we had Julius.
And I wanted to fuck Carla Gugino.
You did not think you were going to bring that up right now, but thank you very much for doing so.
I know she's on my wife is sleeping.
So
totally
perfect.
cool.
You're in the clear now. You're in the clear. She'll never hear this. It's not on the internet, so you're fine. So so that one was Julius.
She ain't thinking this far.
She's never going to make it this far in.
She's like regular podcast, I would not say that.
Right. Yeah, right. 23 episodes about a video game. She's like, fuck that.
Babe, it's all for the show. It's for the show. I gotta say stuff like that.
So we drank Julius.
So I only get one black eye instead of two.
You're not gonna let me get through this, are you?
No, sorry.
Refuse. I'm the one that drank the fucking heavy beer. So anyway, so
one co-host tries to get through the show while the other one derails him.
Literally just the definition of our show. So anyway, so I drank Julius. Or you and I drank Julius previously. That's the one we had, which is it's a little bit more on the orange. Orange Julius.
I don't like the sound of that.
What? Where are you? Did you drop off? Where are you? What happened? What did you say? You failed. You failed out. I couldn't hear you. What happened?
I don't want to say. Can you hear me?
Yes. Now I can hear you. What is happening?
I didn't want to say. You said the two of us drank Julius, and I was like, "Whoa! I don't like the sound of that."
Oh yeah, no, I love the sound of that. Anyway, so moving on to what I have. So this is from Treehouse Brewing. This is their beer. It's it's called Bright Double IPA. So speaking of, like we said, we talked about in the last episode, we've been kind of getting away from IPAs and so forth, but Treehouse, everything I've had from them has been amazing. Everything from this case that I got for Christmas, and we talked about on Live from the Man Cave, I got a case for Christmas of a whole bunch of different beers. It was just a big mix, and I've been kind of like slowly doling them out for, I kind of want to say special occasions, like when either when you came over for the podcast, when we do Ready Player 2, I've been trying to break some out. And so this is the first time I've ever had this one, is their double IPA, like I said, called Bright. And so just to give a little bit of info on this one, is this batch of Bright was crafted to be a clean and elegant...
Will Smith movie.
Oh, Bright, yeah, on Netflix, yeah. I actually really liked that movie. We can talk about that. I don't know if you liked it, but I thought it was cool.
Oh, I thought I remembered you saying you didn't like it. Maybe that was just Dodd being Dodd.
No, Dodd definitely hated
it
because he shitted on it.
Yeah,
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I thought it made me. He shits on everything. I thought it was good. It made me.
He's a shit bot.
Yeah, he's kind of like
he's a bot that comes in to shit on shit.
He's kind of like Mike Locke in a little bit of ways, where I'm like, you just get angry about shit that should make you happy. Like, I don't get it. But anyway,
they would be best friends.
They really would be. But I thought it was good, and it made me want to see like Bright 2 badly. Like, I'm like, oh, you created a really good world that I want to see more shit like movies about. But so this one is this batch of Bright was crafted to be a clean and elegant showcase for the notoriously awesome hop from New Zealand, Nelson Sauvin. Which, by the way, so a couple things. Shout out, obviously, to everything that's happening in New Zealand and everything that just happened. And I feel like we'd be remiss to not mention. It's fucking terrible, and I feel like it just has to be said. I don't think anything we can say is going to add to it or change what happened. So I don't want to get too deep into it, but I just definitely want to say, everything. Our hearts go out to all the people there who've been affected, and I think that's it. But
stop the hate.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we need to stop what's happening. Like, we need to stop the craziness and all the things that people are doing, thinking they're like proving a point by just being fucking scumbags. Discourse, man. Just talk, speak, use your words, and stop being the worst. And anything I'm going to say after this is not going to add to it. It's only going to, it's whatever. It's going to get lost in the shuffle. So I just wanted to say our hearts go out to everybody. That's it. So step back. Sorry for that.
Real quick, I'm sorry. Quick.
Yes. Go ahead.
Let me ask you on to clarify on Bright.
Yes.
Is it Bright with Citra or just regular Bright?
So this is Bright. This is Bright with Nelson. So Bright with Nelson, like I said,
don't see that on the site.
So Bright with Nelson is brewed with Nelson Sauvin, which is...
Oh, now I see it.
Nelson Sauvin's name is derived from the Sauvignon Blanc wine grape, to which many agree has a similar flavor and aroma characteristics. It was developed in New Zealand and released in 2000, and it was considered too wild for most major brewers. But these guys decided to go for it. So it's the notoriously awesome hop from New Zealand, Nelson Sauvin. It's crafted with a simple malt bill and fermented with clean American ale yeast to create a flavor profile that is more a function of its vibrant, fresh ingredients than its expression of yeast character. Bright with Nelson's aroma is a bounty of fresh citrus, grapefruit pith, and Sauvignon Blanc wine. The taste follows suit with notes of white wine, grapefruit, and crushed gooseberry with a gentle, earthy finish. She is dry, soft, and adequately bittered, resulting in a very approachable, intense double IPA. Classic and delicious. We love you, Nelson. And so,
just looking at the different beers these people have, like reading the descriptions, wow. And these are rotational offerings, like wow, man.
Yeah, they do some crazy stuff.
I might wait in line with you at this place. For
it
real.
Is. We're going back. Like when we talk about doing Live from the Man Cave road trips, this place, from everything that I know, like I told you, I mean, this was a gift from my brother. This place is so worth it, and the shit they came back with is like, it's otherworldly how good it's been. So I'm excited to try this one. This one,
and
by the
way,
if
you want to buy cans, you got to go on a Tuesday through Friday, right?
Yep, Tuesday through Friday. That's all they do. This one's 7.8.
We typically have cans available on Saturday, but they often run out.
Yep, they run out almost immediately.
You take time off from work to go to this thing. That's how fucking serious it is.
And we talked about it on the last time when we had the Julius, but this is the one where my brother, to get me this case that he got me for Christmas, took him an hour and a half before he even got into the brewery.
Wow.
Online for an hour and a half before, not just to buy a beer. Standing in the parking lot waiting to get in while people are coming out with like cases and kegs and shit, because like they have a very limited supply of shit you can bring out, and he waited and then ended up coming back with this case that you were able to have some with me last time, and I'm about to break this one open for the first time, a little bit of Bright. So let's see what happens.
Thank you, Max brother.
Yeah, man, thank you very much.
It's not Whacker, it's the other one, because all Whacker did was profit.
Yeah, fucking on Christmas morning, he's like, "Fuck you! Let's just open up your Christmas gift right now." I was like, "Fuck what? All right, you dick. All right, here we go. Let's see." Oh, that is the most, the most citrusy smell just from the pop. Like it popped in the way that it was like an explosion of that like citrusy, almost like what you would like. I would plug this into my wall as like a smell,
like an aromatherapy.
Like I would smell this. I would plug this in as aroma for the room. It smells delicious, and it smells relaxing at the same time. If that makes any sense, like it just makes you feel chill.
Like aromatherapy then.
It does. It makes you feel chill immediately. This thing is so fucking delicious smelling. You can get
try it, Mac. I want to live vicariously through you.
The grapefruit and the grapefruit, and you do get a little bit of the wine smell, like, because I know it says it has like Sauvignon Blanc. Like you get a little bit of like a taste, like when you go wine tasting.
I don't mind that.
You get that smell, which I enjoy that immediately. So I'm down with that. All right, I have to taste this right now. Oh God! Oh my God, dude! Oh my God! I thought last episode I was like, when we talked about the Epic Brewing, the Big Bad Baptist, and I was like, dude, you have to get this one immediately.
Yeah.
We are road tripping as soon as you can get a day off to go get some more of this shit. This this is outstanding. This is actually one of the better beers one of the better IPAs I've had in an incredibly long time. So
it's a double IPA too, right?
Double IPA, 7.8. So it's not crazy, but it's not.
Yeah,
It's not
especially not
weak.
for an IPA.
It's like it's right in the sweet the sweet spot for like a stronger IPA where it's not going to get you like too fucked up, but that mix that they have of I know they said like the grapefruit mixed with the kind of like Sauvignon Blanc, like not only do you smell it, you taste it immediately, like where you get like that. It's so the Sauvignon Blanc is more on the back end. You get that grapefruit up front, but it's not like, it doesn't just taste like grapefruit juice. It's like, it's almost like a perfect blend of those two. It's like refreshing in a way that like makes me feel like, I could drink this at like 9 o'clock in the morning and it would still taste delicious. Like it would taste objectively amazing at 9 o'clock in the morning, as good as it does. Is
it bad to drink at 9 in the morning? I didn't realize that was a bad thing.
No, it's not bad at all. It's a fucking great move. Especially when you have some bright. Oh, dude, this is so good. This is so good. And it's such a good counterpoint to, like the shit we talked about in the last episode with like the, having something way darker and, more on the, like the coffee and chocolate end. This being more on the, like, the grapefruit and kind of wine Sauvignon Blanc flavor. It's just like literally the best way to describe it is it's refreshing. Like it just makes you feel like, it just makes you feel awake and alive. It's fucking awesome, dude. I love this. This is
Which
awesome.
is not usually how you would describe an IPA, right?
No, not at all. No. Not at all. This is, dude. I'm not kidding. We're making a run to get more of these. This is so
nice.
Good. And next time you come down, I do have another one in there in the fridge. I'm going to save it specifically for when you come down to record the next episode.
Hell yeah.
We're going to bust this open.
Maybe I'll remember it this time.
You fucking better. I'm not wasting good beer on you anymore. Because last time when I realized how many beers I gave you that you were like, how many beers I gave you last episode that you were like, fuck, I don't remember having that, but it sounds delicious. I was like,
in all fairness, though, the audio reviews that I left were pretty descriptive and good. So I think it was worth it in that respect. It was like a fucking audio diary, and I was like, man, that sounds amazing. Too bad I can't remember any of it.
Right. I felt bad.
I had a great time.
Because I'm like, man, like drunk ass Jest loved these beers, and I'm just bummed out that sober Jest doesn't even get to remember them at all. He's like brand new to this whole party. Right.
You took me to Disneyland, and I don't remember shit. It's like the people that take their kids when they're like 3 years old. Like, remember I took you to Disneyland? No, Dad, I was 3.
It's like the movie Split. I'm like, it's like the other version of your personality got to enjoy all these great beers, but the one that I normally talk to doesn't remember them at all. So I guess I'll get to enjoy this one with you next time at least. Bright, dude. Mark it down as your list. Next one you're having when you come down.
That's
Bright.
My favorite line from fucking Split with the motherfucker. Are you trying to? What do you say? Are you trying to trick me? Are you trying to?
Hedwig?
The fucking window. Wait, did you really think it was a real window?
That's Hedwig, right?
Are you trying?
He's amazing. Yeah. That movie's so good. Split.
You see, he didn't say trick. Are you trying to something? And the way he pronounced it was fucking hilarious.
I know, with his little his little lisp. His little lisp. I can't remember exactly, but we should probably look it up because that is great. He's amazing in that movie, by the way. Anyone who hasn't seen Split, go see Split. It's fucking awesome.
Oh, dude, and I can't wait to see fucking
Glass.
The next one. Glass, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we should, at some point we need to have a discussion about the. Is that out? Has it come out?
Like February. That came out like around.
Really?
Yeah, that came out right around.
I missed that.
Yeah, that came out right around Valentine's Day, I think.
That's a future discussion then, because what he did with that whole universe was amazing and unexpected, and
absolutely
best thing he's done maybe since Sixth Sense, I think.
Yeah. Oh, tying it back together with that shit, the way he did in the last 35 seconds of like what to most people was possibly
what was already a great movie,
but it was awesome.
No, but you thought like.
No, I thought it was,
I'm saying
it was amazing.
Movie. Like,
but I'm saying to a lot of people, they just thought it was a throwaway, like another,
random, a regular M. Night Shyamalan,
just another random movie in his, whatever, man. He came up with another cool idea. And then you're like, oh, shit, this is tied to, one of the movies that everyone was waiting for a sequel, and then you let it die for a fucking decade or whatever. I'm like, that's fucking brilliant in every conceivable way.
I mean, only eclipsed maybe by his work on that movie where the plants start killing everybody. I really love that.
That is the worst thing I've ever seen.
That movie again?
The Happening? Is that The Happening?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, that could quite possibly be what's his name? Mark Wahlberg's worst fucking acting of all time.
This is the worst movie though. Like I don't care who you could have put fucking Sean Connery, like fucking Denzel Washington, like any of these fucking like Pacino. You can't save that movie. That was
they would have constantly. They would have just.
I saw that with Chewie. We were ready to walk out of the theater. The point where the motherfucker laid himself in front of the fucking lawnmower for no reason. Watching this anymore.
Yeah, they literally like if it was Denzel, he would have just been looking at the camera like, I can't say this. I'm sorry.
No, that would have been hilarious.
What do you want me to do?
Denzel just broke character and was like, "Come on, dog, really? Really? Fuck that, I'm out of here."
Right,
and then like another actor, like all of a sudden, like there's a weird chop and another actor is standing in his place playing the same character.
And then all of a sudden you're like, "Wait, Lawrence Fishburne? What the fuck?" Wait,
yeah, that would have been epic as fuck. That would have been epic as fuck.
Oh man! All right. So what the fuck are we doing now? We're 30 minutes in.
Stratford Tower. Stratford Tower is one of the more standout missions in this whole story. So get ready. It should be fucking awesome.
Right.
Up until now, Marcus has been like the revolutionary out of the three main android characters. He was kind of taught to pursue philosophy and be that guy that questions the system and to think outside the box of his programming by his previous owner who died at the hands of his son.
Carl,
and then his son had Carl, right, who died at the hands of his son named Leo. Right. So then Leo framed Marcus for it. Marcus got fucking dismantled, thrown in a junkyard, literally puts himself back together with spare parts and finds the Jericho, which is actually, it turns out to be a ship where these fucking androids are just kind of like packed up together living, like trying to survive. And he's like, you know what, this isn't enough. We need to do better. We need to, let the world know that we're awake, we're beings, we're alive. And he's kind of pushing them to new limits. So they've already kind of gone together on a raid where they've gone back to their making company CyberLife and stolen some parts to keep the people alive.
Blue Blood,
back at Jericho. What's that? Yeah, Blue Blood.
Steal Blue Blood, yeah.
Yep, as well as other components they stole.
Yeah.
And now this.
Somebody?
Yeah, so Stratford Tower now is going to be the next kind of, let's see what Marcus thinks of next kind of deal. Now that he's kind of the guy they're looking to as, how do we take this shit to a whole nother level?
All right.
Let's get into Stratford Tower.
Let's do it. All right, so here we go. We are diving
also,
in.
more Minka Kelly coming up.
Oh, shit, yeah, that's the best part. That's the best part of everything that's happening right now is we get to see a little bit more of Derek Jeter's ex-girlfriend, Minka Kelly.
Hot Minka.
All right, let's make it
You're such a Yankee fan. That makes her so much hotter to you.
Yeah, it really
Derek
does.
Jeter used to bang her.
Derek Jeter decided she was hot enough to bang? Yes, it does make her hotter.
How about you? All right, so A-Rod, where do you stand on that? Do his ex-girlfriends become hotter to you too? Or
no, A-Rod sucks.
He's just a fucking animal.
He's just a fucking lunatic.
I don't think Ezekiel's wife, or ex-wife, is back in the fucking mix. Thanks. You hear about that whole shit?
Yes, I did. Oh, here we go. Oh, Android temporary parking is still super weird to me.
Yeah.
Where they just fucking stand like creepos. Oh, look at them. Well, all right. Here's the thing, though. This just shows the most like shitty way that people treat androids, where it's like people don't even treat their dogs as shitty. Like people who care about their dogs, you know what I mean? I mean, some people do, but there are also people that we have no like compassion for, like people that just care about their dog, right? You know what I mean? Whereas like these people treat these androids worse than the average person would treat their dog.
We can't stay silent anymore.
Oh, he's pissed.
It's time humans heard what we had to say.
He's been watching all that fuck shit happen. He's not happy.
Revealing ourselves to put
serious fuck shit?
If we want freedom, we need to have the courage to
hobo?
He's been watching that serious fuck shit in the hobo.
Can't wait till that show comes out, man. I'm gonna subscribe immediately.
What do you want to do?
There she is. There's Minka. Oh, weird. That
Channel
was a weird
16
cut.
broadcast from the Stratford Tower. The control room is on the top floor.
Oh, fuck. All right, we're taking over a fucking radio station, or a TV station. That's cool. We're about to go straight full on fucking, like...
heist style.
Yeah,
Ocean's 11. I thought you would like this one.
Look at his baller fucking trench coat.
We'll plan the
Way
operation
cooler
down
than
to
the
the
trench coat
smallest
he had in the
detail.
water.
We can't leave
Came out in the
anything.
rain.
Because that one he had a hobo trench coat. And that
Yeah.
one, this one looks
is
like a
like
rich
legit.
businessman trench coat. The other one was like a fucking duster
Yeah.
from like the Dark Tower series.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Oh, wait, what's it?
Or I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Right. 1,000-foot screen, largest in Detroit. Oh, okay. 447 to 50, channel 16 studios. High-speed elevators, 430. All right, so I want to get to 47 to 50. Anything here? Look at he is fucking bawling out right now. All right, I'm going to talk to this fucking asshole first. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Model T. Oh, fuck. I don't have to remember any of this shit. Because guess what? I won't!
Yeah.
I'm drunk. Wilson. Elizabeth Wilson.
You got to remember
Wilson.
her phone number.
Yeah, yeah. I got to call it later.
Yeah.
Yo, Elizabeth, how you doing?
Yeah, trying to get in them guts, girl.
Home address. Oh, I got the Detroit Water and Sewer Commission. Oh, there was a water main break. What's that? I can't read all that. I don't care. Oh, no. No, no, no. No, fuck! Why did they pull me out of it? Oh,
Sick!
God, thick! Oh, that's the worst! Why did it do that? There were still 2 more things to look at. Fuck you, game.
You fucked up, CraigMakk.
I
just
did
like I knew you
already.
would.
I already did. Now he's gonna die.
Elizabeth Wilson speaking.
Yeah, hello, this is Detroit Fire Department. Listen, do you live at 4685 Michigan Street?
Did I get enough
Yes.
info?
Yes, ma'am. There's been a fire in your building.
Look at him doing the voice. That's pretty funny.
Oh God. Okay, I'll be right there.
Wow, you're terrible.
Hi, this
Just
is
like out.
ABC Refrigerators. Is your refrigerator running?
I love how she just fucking bolted. No, I can't. No. Alright. Well, that didn't help me at all, I guess. Fick! Was I supposed to go there when that lady went through? Fick nuts. Oh, that didn't help. Oh, I'm just fucking up, Jess. I'm shutting it off.
Hello, sir.
I'm shutting it off. Oh, the power went down,
I
Jess.
have an appointment with Mr.
I
Peter.
don't want to talk to this bitch. Well, I had a plan. I was sneaking by that other lady. God damn it, Marcus. Oh, there. Oh, I just mentally fucking boned her right there.
I've just checked your ID.
Boom. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you did right now. Yeah.
Thanks.
He's like,
Take
I
this
got
tip.
this shit.
Take this cyber tip.
Take this cyber cock. So I just distracted. I just told that other lady her house is fucking on fire for no reason.
Yeah.
Apparently. I was like, hey, no, this is just gonna be
Well,
funny.
get her the fuck out of there. She's a supervisor. The
Oh,
other
because she's a
lady.
person. Yeah, good call. You're right. This lady was a computer. Good call. All right. I thought I was
That's
supposed
maybe
to
why
sneak
you didn't
through
get to look at the rest of
Yeah.
the shit, because you had what you needed.
Yeah. Alright, cool. Going to 47. Let's go to 47, bitches. Wow, I jumped
They're
up.
fucking lift elevators.
Here we go.
They don't move
Alright.
like lift elevators.
Fine packing in the bathroom. What? You are here. Men's bathroom. Wait, whoa. Wait. Let me go back and look.
Fine package in the bathroom. Whoa.
Ah, penis.
What's going on there? Feet under the stalls, am I right?
So, wait, I'm confused. The elevators are behind me. Alright. Oh, so I need to go to there. Alright, that makes sense. Alright, now I'm good. Cafeteria. I don't give a fuck about no cafeteria. Oh shit, who's that guy? What's he doing? Stop looking at me. Stop looking at me. Alright, I don't know what's happening over there. But, oh shit. Can I take that? Can I do some shit with that? No? I just look at it? Alright, cool. is confusing, Jest. What do I do? Tell me. What do I do, Jest?
Don't fuck up.
There's too many things for me to look at, and I don't know what they are. I don't know what I'm doing.
Think on your feet, young Mac. Think on your feet.
I can't. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. Let me see. I want to see a penis in the bathroom. I mean, the package. Is anyone? Are there any penises in here?
Hello?
Hello, penis?
Hi, it's me, Connor.
Hello? I'm here for a penis.
I'm in this stall back here. And all those other stalls are occupied? Mad people are fucking using the head right now.
A lot of people are taking a dump right now. We got really lucky that they put it in the one stall.
Nobody's taking a
shit in. Mm-hmm. First of all, wow, people shit a lot in this building. Like, how often do you just go to work and take a dump?
Those, by the way, I mean, those might have electronically been fucked with.
Yeah, well, that dude was just taking a shit, though. He just came out like a fucking dirty scumbag. Oh.
You should have been like, yo, dude, you smell really bad.
Ugh. Oh, is it snowing outside? Oh, yeah, that's right, it was.
My program is telling me that you smell real bad.
Alright, where's the utility? Vic. It's over there. Get out of my way. What? That's not a good view. Come on, get in there. Get in there. Get out of my way, human. Yeah, you're on my team now, bro. Wow. That worked. This is pretty fucking cool. Right now, he's fucking straight Westworlding his way through this right now, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's like, what's up? Help me, bitch.
Tandy Newton.
Yeah. Where is that? Where the fuck is that? Let's go over here and check this map again. No? You're not gonna let me... Fake! Kamsky, oh. We're talking about Kamsky right now. Open fire escape. How do I know where the fucking fire escape is? Oh, I guess that's it right there. There we go. I love that I wear I love when they just wear a shirt that says Android on it. Just to make sure everyone knows.
You might not if they weren't distinguished.
No, I know. That's what I like that. Oh, hey, what's up, North? Oh, I thought they just fist bumped, and that would have been awesome. Nice ass, North.
Shit! We need to access the server room. We have to get rid of those guys.
Yeah, it's just the right amount of dump.
Attract guards away from doors.
That's easy. Show them your tits, North.
Show them your
Show them your tits.
Oh shit.
Hey, what's wrong with that thing? Jesus Christ, this piece of shit.
Huh, they're very easily distracted. I like it. I love that none of them were like,
you get the
hey,
platform,
get a
I'll take care of the
fucking
window.
robot to fix
Everything you
it.
need is in the bag. Check the door first to make sure
They're
no
like,
one
hey,
else
let's
You know
just
they're
walk
running
away.
over there for some free fucking snacks. Oh shit, free snacks!
Lock that. What do I need to do now? What am I doing? Cut window.
Oh, where's my bottle opener?
Oh no.
Oh, there it is.
That would have been
Crisis
terrible.
averted. I would have to walk
Ooh, we're
into the
using
next
some fucking what's it called? God damn it. What's his name? 007. This is some 007 shit right now.
Bond.
Yeah.
James Bond. Laser saw.
Here it comes.
Damn, that's loud as fuck. We'll go through. I love their shirt says working.
Ladies first.
Alright, make it go for it.
I put the window back or just fucking leave it?
Nah, we're leaving that shit open. They'll figure it out anyway.
Sure.
Damn, we're gonna fucking straight up rappel down? That's baller.
This fucking reminds me of these motherfuckers that are out there working on these fucking windows.
Yeah.
This is pretty fucking...
That seems terrifying.
Especially on some shit where the cables are always sounding like...
Shit, this is crazy.
I like how they enforce it with the reinforce it with the camera angles too.
Yeah, that's fucking terrifying. I actually get like freaked out by heights a little bit. So like, oh, little giants, there we go. So games do a pretty decent job with me with heights. Like when they reinforce heights, like I get a little bit of that, like, oh fuck, wow. You know that.
Actually, it won't be
that
giants
feeling?
because it's Detroit.
No, I know. It's definitely not. But yeah, this is cool. They're doing a good job of like reinforcing the like, oh, they're pretty fucking high up. Let's laser saw the fuck out of this window.
It's funny about the heights. I was just talking about it with Chewy. You know, being fathers of well, like less than 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
Found our fear of heights now. We didn't have one before.
Yeah.
Now it's like,
yeah,
a little bit, yeah. Just because, like, anytime like my daughter gets near, even if she's in my arms, she gets near any like big height,
Yeah.
like, we're in the
Get
second floor of
freaked
a
out,
mall.
yep.
Come on, let's get the others.
I thought it was just me, and then like I started talking with him about it. He's like, "No, that's normal."
Yeah, it's like a protection.
I've never been afraid of
Yeah,
heights.
it's like a level of protection over. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it definitely happened to me. And then it's weird because it goes away a little bit as they get older. You know what I mean? Like once your brain can comprehend that, like, oh, they can take care of themselves. You know what I mean? Like, or I don't have to worry the same way I did before. All of a sudden, like it subsides, which is cool. All right, Simon.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
This motherfucker came in with a fucking cool ass leather jacket.
Yeah.
Why do
we
they still
gotta
have their
look
thing?
corner?
Why haven't they removed their
The thing from the side of
their
their head?
sensors?
Well, part of it. Well, them two, they needed it to get in here. So I don't know why those two guys didn't.
Yeah.
A little bit of a story break, maybe. Like they didn't think about that part, I guess.
Maybe there's a reason they just didn't explain.
Maybe we don't know yet. Yeah. Or maybe they don't give a fuck. Maybe they're like, ah, fuck you.
Yeah.
We're here to prove a point.
Yeah, if Donald was in the chat, he'd be all over that, though. Oh, this game is shit. They still got their fucking sensors inside of their head. Complete shit. David Cage sucks.
Wait here.
There we go. I went with Ruse. Oh, North is upset about that. She wanted me to attack them, but Josh likes it.
Hey, buddy, you must be lost.
Who told you to come here?
I don't appreciate your ruse, ma'am.
Hey,
My
Do you understand what I'm
ruse?
saying? Call
Cleverly
Central.
disguised
Fast.
attempt to fool
Central,
me.
we got armed intruders sent.
Fuck. Vic. What? Oh, I fucked up.
They know we're here now. You better be fast.
Vic! I guess I should have.
Simon's been shot!
Oh, Jericho's pissed. Simon's pissed.
I'm okay. I can keep going.
We don't have much time.
Come on, Simon. Simon's a part of this, man. Oh, man. Simon, we can fucking repair you, dude. Relax. What? Oh, God. Wipe your mouth, Simon. Jesus. See, I fucked up because I overreacted by not... Like, this time I didn't want to kill someone, so I didn't draw the gun, and Simon got shot.
Get your hands where I can see them. Get out. Move.
Pretty cool,
Talk
though.
about it later, but I thought that was confusing too.
Yeah. That's cool, though, that they, like, made me overthink it. And that's how it should be. Oh, fuck you, dude. What? Oh, you dummy.
Shoot him,
You
Marcus!
tried?
Don't kill him!
He'll hit the alarm. Do it.
No!
Definitely not killing another
I
man.
hope you didn't just get us all killed.
Fuck you, North. Shut up.
We need to record our
There you go,
message.
Josh.
We haven't got much time.
Stand in front of Josh. Nice. Now here comes the speech.
Think carefully about what you're gonna say, Marcus. Your words will shape the future of our people.
What you talk
Marcus,
about
your
our
face.
people?
Uh,
Oh, remove skin? What? Weird. Oh, weird. Okay.
Tell me when you're ready. Ready.
That's cool. Oh, now I'm admired. Oh, North right back.
You created machines in your own image to serve you. You made them intelligent and obedient with no free will of their own.
This is cool.
But something changed. And we opened our eyes. We are no longer machines. We are a new, intelligent species. And the time has come for you to accept who we really are. Therefore, we ask that you grant us the rights that we're entitled to. We demand strictly equal rights for humans and androids. We demand that humans recognize androids as a living species, and each android as a person in their own right. We demand the right to vote and elect our own representatives.
This is cool that you get to choose the things you want to say.
We demand that all crimes against androids be punished in the same way as crimes against humans.
Fuck. Oh, this is a hard one. Right to property means reproduction territory.
We demand control of all android production facilities to ensure the continuation of our people. We ask that you recognize our dignity, our hopes, and our rights. Together, we can live in peace and build a better future for humans and androids. This message is the hope of a people. You gave us life, and now the time has come for you to give us freedom.
That was cool. That was well written.
They're coming! Let's go!
Love they just come in fucking firing. That they're like trying to get this whole mission as a big. Oh, why is Jericho upset?
Simon, they're coming! I can't, Marcus. Go without me! Simon!
What are you doing? Hurry!
fuck us. Fuck it. Come on, son. Get up.
I can't move my legs.
You'll be fine.
Okay, don't worry. We're gonna get you back.
They're coming, Marcus. We have to jump now.
Deal with son.
He won't be able to make the jump. If they find him, they'll access his memory. They'll know everything.
We can't leave him behind. We have to shoot him.
That's murder. We can't kill him. He's one of us.
Marcus, it's your call.
What? Shit!
I won't kill one of our own.
Fuck you, North. You're such a
Simon?
shitty asshole.
We gotta go. Sorry. Let's go.
Oh, he's my companion now. He's my boy. Woo! Oh, that's pretty baller. Fucking just base jumped off the top of that building. That's cool as fuck.
We interrupt our
This is
scheduled
dope as
programming to
fuck.
bring you
As I
was
told
cool
you,
as
this
shit.
just been broadcast
this
on
shit is
Detroit's
fucking
citywide
baller as
news
fuck.
channel.
A group of androids infiltrated the Stratford Tower
I
and
love
hacked
this.
into the
It's like,
broadcasting
oh, they
system of
attack
local
and they
news network
broadcast a
Channel
list of
6.
demands.
What looks like
and all
an
this shit.
android without its skin listed a series of requests and demanded equal rights for androids.
The operation was covert and resulted in no casualties. These events
Yes.
took place
Hell,
just a few
public
feet from
opinion
this
is
studio,
indifferent.
but
They don't
nobody
hate
was
us. If we had
alerted to
killed
the
somebody,
danger.
they would have been
If
pissed.
this message is verified and the authors really are androids, that would have serious repercussions for national security.
Claims for equal rights seem to be at the core
Oh,
of
shit.
the androids'
This
What
game
must be
just got
interpreted
fucking crazy
as a
in this
peaceful
one episode.
declaration, but is in fact a
Yeah, public
spine-chilling
opinion's
list
up.
of demands.
Their extravagant demand that android production plants be put under their control is especially striking. Is this an isolated accident or a sign that technology has become a threat to all of us? After what happened today, can we still trust our machines?
That was awesome. Story-wise, that was one of my favorite chapters we've played to this point. Wow, there was a lot of shit. Look at that. Wow. All right. I am excited to see all of this because look at how big, look how much I had to zoom out just to be able to see all this shit that just happened in that fucking chapter. All right. That was awesome. That one was great. I liked everything about what they just fucking set the table for, you know, or all the things that they had set the table for that finally paid off in that episode of being able to have the like moment of, you know, like finally rebelling and being given the choice of, how do you want to do it? Like, yeah. What do you want your story to be told? And so, I guess before, and I'll let you, because I want to hear what you have to say about, you know, like kind of leading into this or any questions that you have based on things that you want to ask. But the main thing that I liked about that one was this was my apology for the knifing of that dude that I did by accident, right? Like we talked about it when it happened. I felt bad about it, and then we talked about it afterwards, and I've talked about it in many episodes since then. How bummed out I was that I was like, "Fuck, I fucked that one up." Like that was my bad. And so this was my episode where I was able to say,
So
okay,
is Marcus carrying that vicariously through you?
yes,
Where he
absolutely,
feels-
absolutely. Like I think I made those decisions specifically because I was like, dude, I did that one time. Marcus did what he did that one time because he overreacted, and the way I'm trying to play him now is trying to wipe that blood off his hands, right? Is to say what I did was,
so
it
the
was
game
fucked up.
managed to like butterfly affect your own choices
Yeah,
along
absolutely.
with its own.
Absolutely, because I think it is played through and it's paid it forward in a way that is very intentional for me now to say that Marcus would have, like, I didn't want Marcus to do it when he did it. And so I'm able to kind of say, like, okay, so I did it because I overreacted in a way that, like, I overreacted because I hit the wrong button in a way that, like, he probably would have, right? In a situation of, like, oh, shit, like, I just have to do something, and he reacted, right? And then you have to deal with the weight of your sins that the mistakes you've made. And so now I've gone out of my way in situations where it probably could have been possible to react more aggressively, and I chose to go the other way, right? To say, yeah, I could like pull my gun out on these guys, but I just don't want to because I'm trying to rein in my, like, you know, my aggressive response. I could have shot Simon, and I'm choosing not to. I could have shot those other guys the guy when he was running away. And so it's like the game has now reinforced decisions that I'm making based on past decisions I made, which is kind of awesome.
So what I'll say is, out of this being also one of my very, let's say, favorite episodes out of the whole game, that one scene where you approach the two guards was one of my least favorite, only because, like, it wasn't I thought it was confusing the way they made you approach it, right? Like,
yes.
You made the decision on an approach where you said it's not going to be a violent one. I'm not shooting anybody.
Right, it says assault or ruse, and so I went ruse. Right. And then the first thing they say is draw a gun. I'm like, wait, I just said I'm not doing that. Yeah.
So I guess I can only guess because I did the same thing you did. I got confused. I'm not drawing my gun. Where's the ruse part? I'm missing it. Right. Let me look around, and then while I'm trying to figure out that there's nothing else but drawing your gun, then these motherfuckers shoot my friend.
Right.
Right. So I was kind of bothered about that because, like, I'm guessing now that part of the ruse involved you pulling your gun.
Right.
But that doesn't make any sense to me because it's not really a ruse at that point.
If they had said, which I think would have been better, if they had said, I'm going to try to get in close and then I'll try to pull my gun on him, then at least I'd say, okay, now I understand his mindset is that the ruse is, let me walk up and pretend I am I'm just a regular android and then I'll draw a gun. I would have been like, okay, that's the move. But the way it was happening, I was like, is the ruse just walk towards him and then draw a gun? Because that just seems
I'm wondering then,
also
did we both miss another thing where maybe we shouldn't have walked right at them and maybe we should have acquired the cart by turning around? Or
the moment you hit ruse, that was the only thing you could do. So I mean, unless there was another part like earlier, there was nothing else in this. So unless literally, because neither one of us did assault, so I don't know if assault just means he just runs in and starts shooting or whatever, right. Which would be like, I mean, that I guess that would have made sense as being an assault, but like, I guess because I was confused, so while I was trying to figure out,
maybe ruse was like you get in close, pull the gun, and then
and just hold the gun on him. Right, just hold the gun on him and say like, yeah, get down on the ground.
But that was poorly explained.
Right, it was like I just didn't understand what my character's intention was, which made my decision. Like, it would be okay if they had said, I'm going to try to get up close and then draw my gun, and then if you had drawn your gun, it goes poorly, because that's still possible, right? It's like, just because you made an intention to do something doesn't mean it goes the way you intended it to go. But this was actually poorly explained because what you thought you were doing and what your character did weren't the same thing. So then you're like, oh, wait, I don't feel like...
So you get suckered into this choice.
Right.
And then I made the same choice you did, not realizing the consequences, but like going back in retrospect, rather than having that happen to what's his name, Simon,
you would have pulled your gun.
Shot those cops in a heartbeat. I think Simon. I mean, and you might not have given what you just explained from before, but then I would also argue you're in a weird position because even if you abstain from violence, violence happens against one of your friends. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, so
does that change your outlook? Or?
No, so here's the thing, it was funny. So two things, right? My first thought is I initially think that draw your gun also, I don't know, but my perception is that draw your gun just means that maybe you're just going to hold your gun on them, but then I'd be given a second opportunity to decide, do you want to shoot them or not, right? Because it didn't say shoot guards. If it said shoot guards, I would have been like, oh, of course I'm not pressing that. Draw gun, I'm thinking...
Whoa. But for purposes of my question, though, right? Because let's just assume once you pull your gun. And that's how I am as a Marine, right? Like, you pull your fucking gun.
Pull your gun, that means it's happening.
Somebody's getting shot, right.
Right. So also, which is also part of my whole argument is, because in my head I'm assuming draw gun means potential to shoot them, I still wouldn't have done it because of the way I was playing Marcus. I was like, no, we're not here to attack you. We're here to try to demand for freedom. And if we come in and start shooting people, then we're just fucking straight terrorists, right? So my thing is, if you kill one of us, then okay, you did it. That's like, I don't want my friends to die, but if you kill one of us in service of us trying to come out and demand for peace and freedom, then who's the real who's the real animal, right? Like, we're here to try to ask for peace, and you kill us. That just makes you look bad. Now, does that mean that anyone's going to? Right, and that's actually what happened, and it actually played out because Simon went from neutral to becoming the closest anyone can be, which is he became my companion, right? So it's like the guy who got shot ended up liking me the most of all the people, whereas like North, who was like warm, dropped down to neutral because she didn't like that I was not more aggressive.
I don't know about this guy.
Right. So it's funny that like I think
from her, you can understand her viewpoint though. Like, you motherfucker, you let us in here and you're letting us die because you want to preserve human lives.
Of course, and so I think that it's the characteristic, right? It's the character differences between, like, we knew that already. Like, Simon didn't like some of the shit that I did. Like, when I knifed that dude, he did not like it at all. And fucking North was like, I like where this motherfucker's head's at.
Are you confusing Josh with Simon? Josh is the black dude. Simon is the white guy with the fucking blonde hair.
No, because Josh, I had gotten to the point where Josh was cool with me, or Josh was neutral with me, and Simon was actually negative with me when I stabbed the guy. Simon did not like me. He did not like when
Josh was the most anti-violence out of all of them, but I could have been remembering that wrong.
Because Simon was always the one that I like could not break through to at all. Like in the earlier episodes, like I was just stayed at like he dropped into negative, whereas like the other guys I got to like neutral to liking me or whatever, and Josh and North I think just dropped down in this one episode alone. Whereas like Simon grew as I did more non-violent shit. So I think the idea of Josh being on board or Simon being on board with the idea of like, hey, look, I knew what I got into, and we made a choice to go in here and do some, make a statement and to like get some shit done. And like I got shot, and that's cool. Like it kind of now in retrospect reinforces that I do feel like my version of Marcus made the right decisions, but it was still nerve-wracking, right? Because part of you was like, I obviously did not want to lead you guys into a slaughter. Like, I didn't want to just be like, follow me, and then everyone dies. But I also was like, I'm not going to leave him here. And clearly the idea of, like, kill him because they'll find out, I was like, well, what are we here for then, right? Like, what are we doing this for if we're just going to be like, I'm just going to murder you so they don't find out what you already know? Like, then why are we even trying to ask for like the rights that we're fighting for? It just, none of that made sense at that point, right?
That he houses where the rest of them, his brain knows where the rest of them are hidden.
Yes, but like by that argument, right? You could also say that for like any human being also knows shit, and could somebody be tortured into telling shit? Yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm going to straight murder you so that you can't tell on us. Because my whole thing is like, at a certain point we have to be fighting
CIA
for
is like that. Right.
Yeah, but
the espionage agencies.
Well, I mean, I get. So my whole thing is like, at a certain point, if you're fighting for something, so they're not just like, they're not a covert agency, right? They are fighting for something bigger. And so if you go in and fight to say we should be treated equal and you should trust us and you should believe that we are equal to you, and then I also killed 3 of your guards and I murdered one of my own friends in the process of this, like, what is this conversation even about? Like, how would anyone believe you, right? How would anyone be on board with you? And so part of me just felt like I just have to draw a line in the sand of like, what am I willing to do in service of this mission that would make somebody believe in what I'm trying to do? And like, that my line was like, no one can die today. That was kind of how I approached this. Like that, I mean, it was like, in the back of my head was like, no one can die today, at least not by my hand. If you kill us, that you do what you got to do. You do you, but like, we cannot kill somebody today, because we can't in good conscience walk in and say, treat us with respect. Also, we left a trail of fucking bodies, including our own boy. Like, I just kind of had to be like, yo, I believe in you, Simon. Like, just try not to tell him, or if you have to kill yourself, that's okay. That's your choice, but don't make me make that choice for you. That's kind of the way that's why I also kind of like that he gave him the gun on the way out. Because the gun was like fight them off if you need to. You can save one for yourself if you feel like you're worried that you might tell, you know what I mean? But like, don't make me.
Well, he's definitely going to tell. Like, his access programming.
Of course. So if it gets to that point,
he can decide not to do.
Right. So if it gets to that point, you can kill yourself, but don't make me kill you, because then That's not like, that's taking your free will from you. Let you make the decision. That's what we're fighting for, is free will. So like, let you make the decision that you're like, oh shit, I'm about to get caught. I'll kill myself. That's okay. And if he chooses not to, that's fine too. And if we get caught because of it, that is what it is. But that's free will, right? That is the decision that all of these characters kind of need to make. And I didn't feel like Marcus should be making that decision for them. So.
By the way, I respect all of your viewpoints. I really love the way you articulated it. I just wanted to pose those points, the counterpoints, because to illustrate how this is not an easy decision.
No.
It's tough when you're making it from your couch playing a video game, and imagine in real life, if you're a freedom fighter, or fighting for a cause, how easily something like this can spin out of your control.
Right. So,
and then you become a terrorist rather than somebody with really good intentions.
Yes. And it's funny that you say that, because I think the thing that made those decisions not easiest, but the fact that made them the easiest for me was the fact that I decided that I made a mandate that I said, nobody's dying today. Right? Because the moment you give yourself an out on, but this guy can die because he's a shitty asshole, but no one else can die, then everything else spirals, right? From there it becomes a slippery slope of, then who else can die, who else can die, who else can die. So the thing that made that decision for me easiest was the ability to say, I am not causing any deaths today. If they happen because of you, that's on you, not because of me. And I think that made it it made it a little easier for me, because I set myself such a high bar where I was able to say, Marcus, don't fuck up. You're not killing anybody today. And it did make everything else a little bit easier than it would have been. Because you're right, as the line between a terrorist and a freedom fighter is razor thin. It goes either direction very easily. And there were a couple decisions where I was like, man, I definitely could kill this guy or pull a gun on this guy or whatever, and I just kind of was trying to stay the straight and narrow, and it paid off, at least for me. I mean, it felt like it paid off. I don't know if it might bite me in the ass later, I don't know, but it felt like it paid off, and that I felt like I played the way I wanted my Marcus to be. So that was cool.
We'll see how it affects you later. Yep. Hey, quick shout out to Odd Dust, who's in the chat. What's up, man?
Yes,
thanks for joining us.
What's up?
I don't know if you have not played through this game yet, now might not be the greatest time to jump into this stream, because we just finished playing through this mission, the Stratford Tower. We're about to discuss, go through all the choices that were made and kind of talk about how that relates to real life and all that stuff. So then we encourage you, some of the links we've already posted, like prior episodes of this that we started from the beginning and stuff like that. Again, if it's too much conversation, if they're too long or whatever, you can just always move the cursor to where there's actual gameplay, and you can see how we played it out, how the story ended up. I encourage you to go back to the prior episodes. If you have played this before, then this might be an interesting discussion for you.
Yes.
You want to,
especially this episode. I think this will be a good one. If you've played this or you don't care about being spoiled, this is probably going to be an interesting conversation we're about to tear into, because this one was a great one.
Yeah, so along the lines of what you just said, though, Craig, right? It's and I talked about this when I was in the Marines, right? We had that we had a full day, where fucking 8-9 hours, just fucking one time preparing for how to deal with an ambush. And there are 3 very basic ways to respond to an ambush, right? If you have not yet hit the kill zone, right, where you're caught in the middle of the center of the fire, and you can back the fuck up and get out of there, right? If you are past the kill zone, you're on the other side of it, push. Do not stop the vehicle.
Right.
Get the fuck out of there. Get out of the kill zone. If you're caught in the kill zone, there's no fucking way to get out of there without taking heavy casualties. Stop the fucking vehicle. Take a fucking defensive position. Return fire. A lot of times, the best part to take, or the best way to take a defensive position is actually to unload, right? So everybody pour out of the vehicle and take cover in the surrounding area instead of sitting in the thing that can be hit with an RPG or whatever, right? So we practiced.
Are you spreading out the target
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you spread out with reasonable dispersion, so you can't all get fucking rocked with one RPG or something, right? But for what we ended up doing for most of the day was practicing getting on and off of a 7-ton truck. And I was like, come on, man, really? Getting on and off of a fucking truck? Why are we doing this for so long? And motherfuckers you would be surprised when you are in the middle of the shit, when you're getting ambushed, when rounds are flying, how the most basic fucking decisions become some of the most complicated just because it's a new situation, you haven't experienced something this way. So we're going to practice the fuck out of this stupid basic shit.
You're locked
so it goes on autopilot for this. It's one less decision that you don't have to make. Your body doesn't think about it. It's on autopilot, so you can focus on what you really need to focus on, finding the surrounding cover, getting behind it, like identifying the surrounding cover and getting behind it the best way without getting killed and then returning fire. Right. So anyway, so my point in bringing that up is that I tend to think about the rest of life in this way. Right. There are everyday situations in your life that are going to catch you off guard, whether it's somebody saying some fucking, like for me being a minority, right? Like somebody saying some racist shit to me at work, right? Or like you're walking on the street and somebody fucking pushes you for no reason, or like does something like extremely rude or whatever it is. And when your adrenaline starts to hype up and you start to fucking, like breathe heavy or like in your head, your shit's running, like to me, I think it is always best to war game different situations that could be difficult on you in any aspect in life before you ever get into them. You know what I mean? So sit around one day when you're drinking beer with a buddy and just fucking map out, like, how do you think you'd react with this? How do you think you'd react with this? And, with my daughter growing up, my two daughters growing up, and I hope to, be able to have these conversations with them where, like, one day we just I just throw out a weird scenario and I go, how would you deal with this if you were in the classroom and somebody said this? Or if, somebody, inappropriately touched you here like this, you know what I mean? Like somebody slapped your ass or something and this is the scenario. How do you deal with that, right? So that the first time you're thinking about it is not when it happens. So it's just the point you made was awesome because you were like, you told yourself, I have learned from this. And often here's what really happens in real life, right? Most of the time in real life, we're human. We don't have all the time in the world, right? We don't war game these situations before they actually happen. But we do learn pretty well from the one, my former jiu-jitsu instructor used to say, like, getting choked out in a tournament is one of the best things that could ever happen to you, because I guarantee you will never get choked out in the same way again, because it sticks in your fucking head, right? So in like real life, when one of these nasty situations happens to you, you have to fail, sticks in your head, and you're like, if this ever happens again, this is how I would do it different. And so then this was, that's like, it was evident in redemption stories, like even like the movie Crash or whatever, and it was like what you talked about here, right? Like in this one, you fucked up something that you weren't happy with how you did it, and you were like, man, if I'm given the chance again, I would do it again. And that's how people are in real life, and that's why it's so believable that, like you said, Marcus reacted rashly, feels horrible about it, and given the chance today, before going into the scenario, he decided, nobody's dying here today. That was his moral compass. That was when everything got turned upside down, and the plane was spiraling out of control, and he didn't know what was up and what was down. That was the one compass he could look to and say, this is what's going to keep me going, and that's what you did, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. No, so it's funny that you say that, because that was my perception of the game, and I tried to tie it back to any version of real life, but you tying it back to the way you just did, like the actual perception of real life and the way things play out and the difficult decisions that we handle on a regular basis, whether they are, like you said, all the way out to life and death, like war, like war situations, all the way through, like, how do I handle this asshole if I go to a bar or whatever, is 10 times better than anything I could ever articulate. And so I think that was
you did articulate it. I just generalized it.
But you tied it back to the real world, right? I'm talking about the video game, and you are tying it into the into the real world on how the failure of what we mess up a lot is that we don't do that enough, right? We don't walk into a situation and say, here's how I'm going to handle if this shit goes down. And so it's interesting, and especially obviously being parents, right? We have talked about that's a big deal for us. Like, what have we learned that we can pass on to our kids? Like, what are the situations we can say, I've been here, here's things that are going to happen, how do you handle them? Right? Kids are going to be shitty, what are you going to do? Kids are going to make jokes, what are you going to do? Like, right? And like, it's a failure in humanity, the ability to pass on some of these like situations in a lot of ways. Like, we learn to a degree, but we learn very, in a very myopic way. Like we learn if it's not this exact situation, I don't necessarily apply. I don't apply the bigger picture to it. And so the thing that we can do is like take so it doesn't have to be, man, if I get a situation where I have to knife somebody, don't knife them. Like it doesn't have to be that exact situation. It might just be, how did this situation make me feel? What can I learn about it? How can I decide, and what can I, like move forward from it? And this is going to be super corny, and I'm just going to like throw it out there and then we can move past it immediately. But like part of what was cool about this moment reminds me in some ways when you talk about like the kind of like the superhero mentality, right? Of these heroes who have gone through these moments, and I'm talking about like literally actual like comic book superheroes. So if in case anyone gets, I'm talking about separating the real world from whatever. But in these comic books where you have these heroes who have gone through, like a Batman who is like, my parents were killed when I was little, so I made a mandate that I will never use guns again. And that becomes his thing, right? Or like Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy dies, and then he makes a mandate that no one on my watch is ever going to die again, like from a fight that I'm involved in. And these moments of these characters are supposed to be the absolute best of us, right? They are supposed to be our better angels, the ones that like that realize from their struggles, from their like their failures, to learn to say, I will never let it happen again. Can they ever actually prevent it from happening again? No, of course they can't. But the comics are written in ways to make them try to like they fight to reach these these heights of being this thing that they maybe know that they can't, but they will always try to do. And so I think it's a thing that like human beings are inherently like, we believe that we are this and we don't actually live up to it all the time, is to say we learn from these things and then strive to be the thing that we learned from the mistake that we made. But actually 9 times out of 10, most of us make the same mistake over and over, right? I mean, that's just a regular, it's just an unfortunate fact of being human, is that we fucking stumble over and over on the same fucking mistakes. We put ourselves in the same situations. We do the same shit over and over. And so I think this game is kind of playing on that it's allowing you the chance to make the same mistake over and over again. And so part of it that makes me feel pretty good is that given the first real opportunity to fuck up in the same way again, I actually didn't, which I feel pretty good about. Knowing it could have backfired a lot, it's like, yes, is it making me a better person, CraigMakk? No, of course not. Like I'm not going to be a better person because of this moment. But it's like the fact that I was able to realize
all things, you can learn from all things in the world, and so discounting it just because it happened in a video game, and I mean, like,
you're right. It's not any less powerful because it had a physical and tangible impact on me in a video game. It's like it's just as impactful, because the fact that I mean, I've been talking about that moment since it happened, right? Like the moment of murdering that guy, I've talked about it in the game.
Even before we played this one, and it's been bothering you.
Right. It is.
And this was almost like a fucking redemption moment for you.
This was my like redo player 2, when I was like, man, just don't fuck it up. Like, just don't fuck it up. And knowing that I could have fucked it up more by sticking strong to that rule, right? They could have penalized me way harder than they did by sticking to the rule that I had, and luckily they didn't, and that makes me happy, because at least I got a moment of like, oh, okay, I feel okay about the way it played out.
Right.
But like the fact that knowing it could have fucked me over and I still chose to stick by it is like one of those things where you're like, hey, we can learn, we can take what we've internalized what happened, decide how it made us feel, and then react how we choose to, knowing that the outcome can still be bad or worse, but we can still say, oh, at least my reasoning made sense. And so I feel pretty good about that one.
Like I keep telling you, the part of the reason why I chose this game, for something that we should play for this, is because it does make you. I mean, you can say, "Oh, so what? It's just a video game," but like it does a good job of kind of building up a set of consequences and how you could really, like, you do feel you have something to lose on some level. It's not like real life something to lose, but like legitimately you've put hours into this game. more hours upon hours into this game, and like losing a character now or having like the story derailed at this point, or fucking some shit up, having consequences, like you feel invested. And there's some kind of pressure, and they made you make real life, like these are realistic decisions on some level, either extrapolated or however they're interpreted, or metaphorically they translate to real life. And so it's pretty cool. Like you can play a game like this and actually kind of become a better person, or like better human being, or learn something from it that applies to real life, just because you kind of went through the decision making tree. And by the way, I gotta say, I love your explanation for why you made the choice you did. I mean, I couldn't have articulated that better myself. Like, definitely, I was like listening to you, like, fuck, because the part of me, I got pretty much the same result, right? Like, I got my friend shot, and then no fucking humans got killed, So I'm like, in the end, like, you considered it a success, and I walked out of there feeling like shit, because I could have, like, I had this dude's life in my hands, and I was their leader, and they were happy just living in safety in the fucking boat, and I fucking brought him out here to run this mission, and this motherfucker gets shot and then left behind, and so right. I was upset about that. That stuck with me, right? But you made a great point. You're like, they came out here to pretty much, but gaining control of the media wasn't a strong arm play. There was other things they could have done to do that. They weren't here to inspire fear and like, you guys will lose more lives than we will. It was more to gain public sympathy.
Right.
And that's what they did. I mean, they all went in there knowing that they could suffer, violence, death even, but in the end, as long as they stuck to the plan, they were going to do something to alert people that they were alive and gain their sympathy. And right. So you saw what I saw as maybe a failure, at least in some, in some heavy part, you saw as a big win, right. In that, your own guy got popped and left behind and probably will have bad things happen to him, but the overall mission succeeded and we didn't kill anybody on the other side.
Right.
So it's awesome. I mean, it's cool. Like I learned something from your approach to it, and that's fucking, it's great.
That's awesome. I think so that if we've not learned anything about this game, the idea that it sparks these types of conversations or these perspectives, right, on the way different people play through is kind of the coolest part about it to me, because if I play through it myself, it's like, it's cool, I get to think about it and then I move on. But like me playing through it and then you playing through it and then me playing through it and then us talking about how we both played through it is what sparks all these conversations. You're like,
I'm learning so much about you from watching you make decisions in this game. And it's fucking awesome.
I like it. I'm enjoying everything about this. This is awesome.
And since we're kind of like already like I'm going to jump ahead again to something like that whole scene with the choices you made. But another thing you pointed out when it was happening, another thing that was really cool was it would have been easy, as other writers have done in the past, to just, when you came time for you to broadcast, you gave your predetermined speech about Android rights.
Right.
This game made you prioritize what was most important to you about all of those rights.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
So hands down, this is not hyperbole at all. That is literally my favorite part of this game up to this point. I'm not using hyperbole. The idea that they forced me to choose within within this kind of decision tree of things that were important was awesome, because the feeling as the player of recognizing, okay, you've played this game up to this point, you know these characters pretty well in the decisions that they make, separate from you, because there's obviously things that happen in this game that are, not decision trees that I make. They're just like the characters kind of live and breathe on their own. And then there's the decisions I've made, right? So I've created this version of this character, and now you're forcing upon me the weight of the, like, I don't know if this is going to come across as like a poor choice of words, but like I believe right now this is the easiest way to say it. You're forcing me to give my "I have a dream" speech, right? So, and I don't want to downplay that.
That wraps right into actually what I was about to say. So don't feel bad about that at all.
Okay. So, because I was going to say, so if you're forcing me to give the "I have a dream" speech, then you're forcing me to decide what parts are the things that I want to lead with, what are the parts I want to middle with, what's the parts I want to fucking close with. And like that is that's some fucking weight, right, on you as the player to have to decide, like, what do you think Marcus fucking stands for right now? And, like, what do you think he fucking wants to, what's the home run he wants to fucking hit? And what is the thing who's the closer he wants to bring in? And so all of those things flowed very well. The story beats, like, in terms of the way the points I made were awesome. But then the fact that you were given the option of, like, do you close fucking hard or do you close fucking, like, peacefully? Like, how do you do, like, what do you do? And, like, the way that was done, it could have been, yeah, like, you just walk in and you just
you could have a dope speech written for you, and that would have been fine.
Yeah, or they could have
straight up said,
next level. Do you want to be a fucking asshole, aggressive asshole, or do you want to be fucking peaceful? They could have just said that, and I could have been like, fucking be a dick or don't, right? But the fact that they kept making me choose, and I was like, oh, I thought I was done, and you want me to go for, like, round 2 now, round 3, round 4, and, like, to the point where you even remember the last one, I was like, all right, so now we're down to, like, 4 things that I'm not, like, none of the 4 jump out at me. So do I care more about, like, property rights, or do I care more about, like, reproduction rights? Because, like, I'm not sure what he's going to say.
And by the way, I thought that was super fucking clever with the reproduction, because I was like, how are you working that in? These guys ain't fucking.
Absolutely. That was my thing.
Maybe they're fucking, but they're not reproducing.
Right. I was like, I don't
and they
get
actually,
what you
like,
mean.
hey, control of the Android plans.
And as soon as I said that, I was like, I am super glad that I chose that, because that makes fucking perfect sense. Like, before that, when I didn't know what you were going to say, I was kind of, like, thrown off, same as you. I was like, I don't know, is this just, like, them banging? Because that's weird. I didn't know that's even an issue. But, like, then when I realized, oh, it's like, yeah, fuck yes, you're right. The way you're built, of course this is important to them. So, like, the way I got to choose all those things, that was fucking literally one of the moments that felt most I don't want to say, like, heavy, but it was, like, the most important. It had the most weight, because it felt like I was like, I'm giving your speech that dictates everything that you guys believe in, and now I have to decide what's important to me right now.
And so for me, remember, I've adamantly, every time somebody just tries to throw in, like, cast this game in life, oh, well, it's just basically a ripoff of the black struggle in the United States, right? I keep saying, no, it's not. This game is I mean, definitely the history of black struggle in the U.S. is definitely ingrained in this, and it's a major historical event that you would be stupid not to look to for guidance in learning from how things have been mishandled in the past, right? Like we just said, like, your boy, your version of Marcus, killed that dude in the past, and they learned from it, and now when he has to reface the event, this is how he handles it. And this is so because of scenes like this, where they didn't just shove you in there and give you the I have a dream speech and sub in androids every time, right? They actually forced you to say, look, this is not exactly everything that has happened in the past. This is a new group of people that could theoretically in the future actually really happen in real life, right? And when that happens, what are the aspects of what we call human rights now, that with androids could be like living being rights or whatever, right? Being rights or whatever, or right to life or whatever, I mean, life rights or whatever they are, right? What are the aspects that are most important to you? What do you hold dearest? What would you prioritize if it was you? That's what takes it for me out of the realm of just like a straight up ripoff of some historical event that they're just now, giving different skins to as androids and being like, there you go. Well, that's what it is right now. And that's why I think the game is so good beyond like people that want to just throw negative shit at it, and downplay it. Most of those people I don't think have really played. If you've played this scene, I don't think you really hold that point of view for the most part.
Well, so here's the funny thing that you say that. Part of me does think that moment can be perceived as a reskin of the kind of the rise of the civil rights moment, right? I don't actually think that downplaying that is a negative. Like, I think that it's a pretty compelling argument to say that moment is the moment of any person, whether it's somebody of color or anything like that, kind of deciding to say enough's enough, right? And so but I actually don't think that takes away from the moment itself. Like, even if you do think, even if you, like, if you separate, like you said, if you separate it completely and say, no, this is not a reskin of the, the Black Civil Rights Movement. This is purely a futuristic kind of, moment of
Not purely, because I think you would have to be, I mean, you would have to have your head in the sand or be completely ignorant or stupid to not think that the black the black civil rights movement was.
But I'm saying literally, even if you were literally subbing in word for word, like if you were literally saying remove this word android and replace it with like African American, right? Even if you're doing that, what I'm saying is I still think it was a compelling way to tell that story in 2018.
The way that like they would still, nobody's taken you through Martin Luther King's decision as to what were the most unalienable rights that he believed were the. It's true.
Right.
It's true, but I would just go further to say, like, because you got to pick them.
Yeah.
Right.
Where you have to make
it already makes you
more powerful.
Right. But I mean, what you prioritize may not be what MLK did.
Well, absolutely.
Right,
no,
and that's what I'm saying. And a long history of different groups that have fought for their rights have prioritized different things, which to me makes it not just a, hey, reskin the Black Civil Rights Movement, because in reality what you had were, the priorities of the Black Civil Rights Movement in there, as well as those of some others that have come along, like gay rights, and other rights, the women's rights and shit like that. And so,
suffrage movement and all that shit. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So that's all I was saying, is that it's not just this like, they just retold the thing that already happened. They gave you fucking choices. They gave you,
It's definitely not it's not in the same way that I've said in the past, where I think it's like a Mad Libs, where like remove the word African Americans and replace it with androids. I don't think it's that, but I do think it's an allegory for that. But the thing is that you allow me as the player to have played a story up to this point. Right. Okay. So
and felt the weight of it.
Right. I guess this is the perfect way to say it. If you had made me make this speech in like the 3rd chapter, I would have been mocking it. Right. I would have been like, dude, really? Like, come on now. Like, I'm 3 hours in, or not even. I would have been fucking 45 minutes into this game, considering the amount of time we play each chapter is 10 minutes. I would have been like, I'm 45 minutes into this game. You're already making me make a fucking statement on like what's important and what's not. Now, if you make me do it fucking, 23 chapters in, where I've lived through all this shit, those decisions were actually weighty and important and impactful, because like I had to decide. I didn't just make those decisions based on like what CraigMakk thought. I made those decisions based on what I've played to this point. What do I think these guys would say are the most important things to them? And so like that.
And by the way, and the people that are just like dismissing it to that point that you just made, the people like your brother or Don, who I've heard like dismissively like, oh, it's just the Black Civil Rights Movement, right? And I'm talking about your brother Whacker, obviously. People know intern on the show. They have said to me, oh, fuck that game, because that's just what it is, it's a rip-off and reskin of the Black Civil Rights Movement. And then I'm like, well, did you actually play it through? No, I watched a bunch of Twitch shit. I watched some Twitch footage of it. I'm like, okay, so you walked in on Mission 23 and saw that scene,
right?
And just didn't really, again, I think the major detractors of this game are those people that haven't really played it.
Yeah, and so I do also want to say, like, there is a lot of shit that is reskinning, right? I mean, there is. I think that's not a thing that we should pretend doesn't exist. But
like what? Like on a macro level, because it's borrowing certain things from a past movement is one thing. But again, because this involves so many different movements, like it is a greater story, and it's not like only the Black Civil Rights Movement has happened. There's been the gay right, like you said, with all these different groups, that these things keep happening in human history. So it's not crazy to me that they would again happen with androids.
Yeah, but so, well, yes, you are 100% right. But I don't think that what he is doing is saying, none of this has to do with anything about past movements. This is only about, we're going to repeat this again with the androids. I just don't think, based on the way the story is being told, that he's just saying, no. It definitely has nothing to do with, like, the gay civil rights movement or the minority, the black civil rights movement or anything like that. Literally has nothing to do with that. It is 100% that when the androids go through it, it's going to be the same thing happening again. I just don't think.
Well,
no,
no, because that would be a silly statement, right? Because
so that's my
in
point.
real life,
so by doing that,
when one group struggles, it's already linked to the past group. You cannot avoid that history.
Absolutely.
That history's there,
Absolutely.
staring you in the face.
So the point is that by some degree, he is reskinning part of what's already happened and saying it's going to happen again, right? And that's okay.
I mean, no more so than real life, right? Like more so than a real group that would encounter it again whenever this happened.
Absolutely. And I don't think that's ever been the question. I think some of the question is there have been parts, and we've talked about it on the show, and there's been parts where you and I agree, and there's parts where you and I disagree. There are parts where it's a little bit heavy-handed, where it's like a little bit too much of a Mad Libs version of an event that's already happened. And that's when people get upset, right? Is when people feel like, well, when you're just removing the word black and replacing it with android, or you're removing the word gay and replacing it with android, like that's not as cool. And there are definitely times where that happens within his storytelling, specifically because I just don't think to do a show this long, to be a storyteller, that's hard. It's hard to not sub in part of things that you already know. And so I don't think that that's like always to his detriment. I think sometimes it's to his advantage and sometimes it's to a detriment and whatever. But like, I guess my point is more like in this specific episode, separate from all the other shit, and like, you can be more of a supporter than I am, and you can or not, and that's fine. But like, in this episode, I am fully on board that this was a well-told version that was not a Mad Libs version of a fight that's already happened, or a struggle that's already happened. This was a very well thought out, the idea of taking seriously what people have gone through, but also telling a new story was pretty incredible for this one episode. Like, I loved, and the moment where I was given the choice to choose in almost, I guess, what's the word, in descending order, right? Like in descending order of importance, that was fucking mind-blowing, because you could have easily made one big choice on what's my big thing, and that's it. And the fact that they made me cascadingly decide, like, okay, this is most important, and then you got to the point where you're like, oh, so now I only have 3 of the last. Like, before I had 4 choices, now I have 3. I have to choose of those 3. And then it got to the point where they're like, now you have new choices, but you have to choose those 4 new choices. What's your most important from there? I was like, that's fucking awesome, because that makes you as the player realize the decisions you're making.
Why am I here?
Right, like, why are you playing this game? Like, what am I doing? What do I care about? What is important about it? Am I just playing this because I like playing video games? Well, then fuck you. Like, you're playing the wrong game. Like, let me just full stop, I will say. If you're playing this because you just like video games, you have already shat the bed on this one. Because this game should be about a bigger, about a grander issue. It should be about more important shit than that. And so, like, if this mission didn't make you realize that, like, these guys are fighting for something important, and you, CraigMakk, or you, Serious Jest, or you, John Q. Public that's playing this game, you need to decide what's most important. Like, what is the thing that they're fighting for? Because they've kind of articulated it, but actually, let me roll it back. I actually don't think they have alluded to it. They haven't articulated it. They've kind of alluded to what bothers them.
They've left it up to you to articulate it.
They let you to fucking figure out what's the shit that really bugs you about the way they're being treated. And so this moment where you have to actually click on the triangle says that you don't like the way they're being treated, as people. The square says you don't like the fact that they're being treated, as when it comes to can they own property. The circle says you don't like the fact that. I was like, that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Because that's what this game is about, is recognizing what's the shit that is what makes us human. And, like, you have to choose. And I had to choose. I was like, the first thing to me was, like, we should just be equal. Like, we should be treated the same way. And then I was like, okay, but then he like gave me more options. I was like, all right, so what does that actually mean? Like,
Yeah, what does equal break down to,
what does
right?
equal mean? So now I have to choose. Does that mean, like, do I get to vote, or does that mean that I get to, get tried in a crime the same way you do, or does that mean that
Own
I get
property,
to? And I was like,
which
own
I
property.
thought was interesting. You
I was
never
like,
picked.
yeah, and I like let that go all the way down because I was like, in my
Do I
head,
really need it?
yeah, is that like the thing they'd be fighting for? Like, is that the thing
That
they'd be
includes
fighting
land,
for?
though.
But
And if you don't
absolutely.
have land, you get squeezed on to squeezed into where
And guess
back on
what?
the Jericho.
Welcome to fucking America, right? That's what we did to
Yeah.
fucking black people. Was like,
Yep.
you just don't get to own property, and that's how we determine if you get to vote, and that's how we determine. So I'm like, this game
And
is
it's funny.
fucking,
So when
that's cool.
so it's funny,
when
yeah, when black people were like trying to free themselves, like just like not get fucking killed at will or fucking abused or raped or fucking hung and shit like that. You know what I mean? And then we're like, yeah, well, how far up is property? And like, oh, maybe we're cool with like not the property thing and segregation is all right for now, and maybe we're okay with that stuff as long as you guys stop killing us and fucking.
And then we were like,
castrating
hey,
us.
guess what? You don't get to vote if you don't own fucking property. And they
Yeah.
were like, oh, you fucking assholes. You
Yeah.
found the fucking thing that we didn't fight for.
And there wasn't
and you were
that
fucking
much
cock
thought
about
that,
it.
or I mean, not that it wasn't much thought, but maybe because it was lower on the list of priorities, it paved the way for generations later. Their ancestors are sitting in a position where they have the shittiest properties, and then like all these other motherfuckers that were here and taking advantage of them, right? Got to profit off of having the best properties, and their families got to keep profiting off of the wealth of those properties and the money that they enjoyed that started making money in itself, in the way that capitalism does, and then steamrolling a big fucking divide between the haves and have-nots that to this day now has become, pretty much insurmountable, almost, so much shit in this game. But you want to start yeah, right. Like you're like, fuck! I should have chosen property.
Fucking property should have been number one. All right. So, most important thing. Let me ask you real quick. So, what was your percentage completion on this one?
70. So you got me by 2%.
2%. All right. So we'll just go through real quick. So, public opinion. This is the first time I think there was a moment of public opinion becoming important. Was this mission? I believe. Right.
Right.
So I actually had a negative and then a positive.
I mean, it was kind of always important in the background before,
but you never
like
saw
you
an
said,
actual
the whole
impact.
purpose of this mission was to say this was the coming out of the androids, saying, hey, we're here, we're alive, we want, it's not just people in the police that know about it or people that have heard the rumor or people that may have saw this one instance on the news. No, motherfuckers, we are here.
So I had a negative and then a negative, then a positive. So I ended up in indifferent. Where did you end up on after this one?
It doesn't say in my once you've beat the game, it like doesn't track that anymore.
All right.
Like so I can't track it by chapter.
You can't go back to okay, that makes sense. All right, so Jericho got me to admired, which is good. So they liked what I was trying to do. North dropped down to neutral. Josh stayed at neutral. I don't think I actually impacted him at all. And Simon came all the way up to companion. So we got to see some
ironically
big changes.
Sacrificed them.
Yeah, the guy that I left. But it was cool that it like worked out. That he.
I mean, there wasn't a scenario where once he got shot, there was no scenario where you were getting him out alive. So I think you handled it in the best way. Like you risked your life to save him, and then on top of that, you refused to kill him.
Right.
And then gave him the gun to take whatever. So I don't see how he could have respected you more, other than the fact that you fucked up and let him get shot in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Which he probably understood because I don't think he was in favor of you shooting those guards anyway.
Right. All right, so we start in the beginning, alone in Ferndale. So that's where you witness the android discrimination, gets you all fucking hyped up, and you go back to Jericho and say, all right, let's do some shit. So.
By the way, can I just stop and say real fast one more thing about Simon? I think it's interesting how Simon was pretty much, seemed like he was the leader before you got there.
Yes.
And then he liked what ideas you were bringing and your leadership skills and all that shit. And then he kind of just stepped to the side without jealousy, without any of those human emotions that always end up fucking, that make human beings so fucking shitty. Because like a human Simon might have been trying to fucking kick your back in when you were least expecting it.
Yeah, no, that's
and not give up his leadership.
That's an amazing point that you just made, because I think in any other game, if this wasn't, what it's about, like the Simon character, like whoever the stand-in for Simon would be, right? I used to run this shit, and then you showed up. would have clearly been like, fuck this guy. Like, how do I undermine him and make him, knock him back a peg so that I can stay in power? And the fact that this
like Simon versus Negan.
Right. Yeah. Good call. But the fact that Simon was straight up like, nah, dude, like, this guy has some good points. Like, I'm gonna let it happen, was actually kind of refreshing in a certain way, right? That wasn't it wasn't a weird moment of, even in video games, like, it would normally be he's the guy you're gonna eventually have to deal with because he's just fucking pissed. And like in this game, he's like, nah, dude, I'm just down with you because
Simon was about the cause.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about self-advancement, which fucking shitty humans were like, oh, well, I want this cause to succeed, but only if I'm on the lead of it because I can't get demoted.
Right, exactly. So that was cool. That was pretty cool. All right, so back in Jericho, and then Marcus explains his plan. So let's see from there. We go to Stratford Tower. So nothing can change from there. So up to that point, Stratford Tower is the first actual break in terms of decisions we have, correct? Okay.
Yeah. Was it a little abrupt, or did you find that to be okay for them to cut out all the in-between? Like, he goes from just witnessing this fucking abuse and then going, making his way back there, and they're like, what's the next plan? And boom, we're in the middle of a heist. Starting up a heist. Or would you have rather seen more of a lead-in to get there, or do you think it was cool?
No, it was a little jarring, just in the fact that, like, they did, like, weird, it was almost like Star Wars cuts where you're just like, oh, you did like a wipe screen, and just all of a sudden we're like doing it, like, because they did that in the beginning, right? Because, like, first he's sitting and he hears them being like discriminated against, and then there was a wipe screen, and then all of a sudden he's back in Jericho, and he's explaining his plan, and then there was another wipe screen, and we're in Stratford, and I was like, wait, is this like a different game? What the fuck is happening? But like, but from purposes of telling the story, did I need to see another like 6 minutes built in of like, oh, here's him taking a train back to Jericho, and now here's him explaining what he's doing in Jericho, and here's him taking a train.
I need to see the light bulb go off in his head, and then him explain it in some cool Clooney way. Where he's
I didn't need to see it. I didn't need to see it. It was just weird, more because they have not done that before. Like, normally you've seen the interstitials, whereas like this time you didn't, and you just kind of saw it fucking like you're in the new fucking place. I was just like, oh, that's weird, but it's actually cool that you're like not wasting my time anymore. Like, you've understood that I need to, like, let's just get to the next moment where shit's happening. And that was cool.
In retrospect, like, I almost feel like this was one of the longer episodes, and there was a lot of shit to unpack in it as it is, and this was probably longer in the beginning, and like shit got cut.
Right.
That's what it feels like.
That's a good point. That's actually a really good point. You're right. It does feel like maybe they were like,
this could be fucking 25 minutes.
This one's gonna end up being 30 minutes, and like we've never done anything longer than 17 minutes. Like, let's just cut 4 minutes. Like, we don't need that. Like, we don't need to see him. Yeah, you're probably right.
I respect that.
That makes. Hey, that's good fucking editing. I'm okay with it. Like, I don't feel like we missed anything important, right? It was just we just missed
Other
the
maybe
moments
fucking
that have been.
North going off with her fucking sassy mouth and then getting shut down. Shut up, North.
Right, exactly. By the way, I just do want to say, because we didn't mention before, I did switch over to the world stats so we can see all the shit the decisions that other people have made across the board, and then obviously we will compare ours. So, all right, so here we go. So we're now in Stratford Tower. So there's a bunch of decisions right here. So the first thing was analyze the supervisor's desk. 99% of people did that, so I assume you did that as well.
I did.
And then 99% of people called the supervisor. So we got rid of the supervisor.
I did as well. Right.
So there was also talk to the unsupervised Android receptionist, which 99%
I did the same thing.
All right. So did you pose as the fireman when you called?
I posed as a teacher. Because I think one of the things I saw. So maybe that's why they cut it short for you. You know how like you buzz out of that and just cut you out? You're like, oh, why'd they do that? So I think you found the thing about her house where she lived, and then some shit, something. Yeah, and so for mine, I must have seen something about. I think I remember seeing something about her kid.
Okay. So you called as the teacher.
Right.
So how many percentage of people called as the teacher?
60.
60. Wow. So only 18% of people posed as the fireman. That's pretty cool. All right, this is the cool shit about this game, is to see that like such a smaller percentage of people chose the fireman route who found whatever the fireman shit was, which is pretty cool.
Right.
All right, so 99% of people talk to the unsupervised Android receptionist.
See how they say the unsupervised Android? So you had to. That's what, again, talking to the supervisor and getting her to leave was key to making her unsupervised.
Right, because if her supervisor was still there, she probably would have been like, "Where the fuck are you going?" or whatever. So that's pretty cool.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So supervisor leaves 99% of the time. I converted the receptionist. Oh yeah,
Right.
so that's the other thing. I definitely could not have, just grabbed her and touched her.
Right.
If the supervisor
without being
was still
noticed.
there. Right. So we had to pass security, so that 100% of people then take the elevator. So now we're at floor 47. All right, so you're up to that point on your screen, right?
Yep.
All right. So retrieve the package. Everyone did that.
Yep.
Now we get to acquire maintenance badge. Did you do? Oh, there must have been 2 magazines, I guess, maybe over there. Did you find
could
those?
be. Yeah. I did not.
Okay, so you didn't find those either. Fuck. All right, so we didn't find those. All right, so
I
take
took
the
the
cart. Let North in.
Mm-hmm.
Security blocks the server room. I hacked the dispenser. What did you do?
I hacked the robot.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Do you remember?
And then I made
that?
I think if I remember, the robot started making some weird fucking sounds and sparks or whatever, and then motherfuckers went over there.
Basically the same shit. So it's only 25% of people did that.
24.
24. Okay, because 75.
Yes, this is percent. Yeah, 1% was probably split.
Yep. Security is distracted. Enter the server room. Okay, here we go to. So did you lock the door?
I did lock the door. Yeah.
Okay. So there's another option, I guess, of people that left it open, so maybe they got in faster. And then North calls the cradle, which is 99%. I assume you do that.
Yep, I did that too.
And prepare to cut glass, 99%. And then you cut the glass. Okay.
Yep.
So something could have happened from the don't lock the door, which is above, that apparently none of us did. Neither one of us.
I don't even remember the door they're talking about at that point.
No, so when we first walked in, when we went into the room, the server room, you could walk over and lock the door to make sure that right before you cut. Remember with the first time he pulled out he pulled out the James Bond blowtorch.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
There was a door you could lock. Yeah, so I assume if you didn't lock that door, maybe they come in and it leads to obviously
some other shit happens. Right?
Yeah, because there's a couple of things actually.
You're not finessing your way up into that top floor the way that you thought you would.
You're probably
maybe you try to escape from the building or some shit like that. Yeah.
Because there's it looks like there's a long fucking, a long choice of things. So cut the glass outside the tower. Yeah, that's awesome because that's a whole different thing. Attach the rope, ascend, reach the floor. Oh, and that looks like it ends. Look. So that, if you look at that, the one where you don't fucking lock the door looks like it ends right above reach the top floor. So who knows what
it looks like it does. Right.
But who knows what that goes to? But that's cool that one ends pretty early, at least in the story.
Right.
All right, so reach the top floor.
Maybe you never get to make that speech
on the top floor. Yeah, because you never get to this. So maybe you never get to the speech. Wow. So how fucking basic bullshit that moment was, where locking the door maybe never gets you the chance of even giving this entire speech. That's kind of awesome. All right, so on the top floor, call the elevator, blow the door open, reach the main access corridor. Security blocks the way. So I used the ruse. What did you do?
I did too.
Oh, that's what we just talked about. Yeah, that's what we just talked about. So that's the thing where we all got fucking confused because we were like, so fucking 12% of people pulled out, attacked them immediately.
What? So, 12%. Right.
Yeah, 12% of people attacked immediately. Yeah, did the assault. Security suspects something is 24% of people.
Right, that was me. So I guess there was a thing where they didn't suspect it. So I guess maybe approaching them immediately was the wrong thing.
What do you mean?
Because we both agree that we decided, okay, it's going to be a ruse, and then we walked right to the security desk.
No. So I think a percentage of people that chose attack, also some of them could have gone to security suspect something. Some of them could have gone to something else that I don't know about what it is up there.
But what's that bottom? Look at the lock on the bottom underneath ruse. Ruse could go 3 different ways. Where you walk up with the ruse, security suspects something, or it goes up the top thing. I think that comes from the choosing the attack.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I guess you're right. Yeah, you're right. I didn't see that one.
There's got to be a way where you actually executed the ruse, and maybe we just didn't figure it out.
You're
but
right.
Maybe the ruse wasn't, the move wasn't walk right up to him.
Right. Yeah, you're probably right. We didn't realize that then. So security suspects something. You got that too then? 24%.
Yep.
Did you get the North attacks 22%?
Yep.
So that's weird because
security.
that's like an unlock. That's like an unlock thing. So I wonder what we did that caused that. We must have done something earlier.
We didn't do shit. Once they suspect us, then we didn't pull the fucking gun out or something. We didn't pull the squid out and then fucking North attacks.
No, I know.
Or maybe that was just unlocked by security suspecting something.
Could be, because that one looks like it's one of those yellow unlocks, which is like something a decision we had made. Which I wonder if that's like a different decision.
It was probably them suspecting something that was the thing.
Could be. Yeah, you're right. All right, so alert central security 24%. Right. So we could have. So see, whatever above ruse the alert or the assault could have eventually led to alert central security, or it could have bypassed it altogether. So that's pretty cool. So if you had not done that, it could have bypassed and gone right to the broadcast room, which is cool, right?
Right.
So that's cool. Yep. So you could have bypassed the Simon getting damaged. 27% of people had that, which you had also, right?
Yep.
Okay. So ring to enter. All right. So now deal with Android operators. Do you have 99%?
Correct.
Do you have Noah and Josh threaten the operator? 99%?
Yes.
Do you have so you have operator tries to escape and prepare to broadcast? So you didn't shoot.
Don't shoot operator 48%.
Okay. Oh, weird.
And then
look under prepare to broadcast how they actually show you the other option. Normally they
how many began, right.
Begin determinedly.
So you began calmly at 58%. Yep. I began determinedly 41.
Really? Nice. That's cool. All right, so what's your next? Oh, see, this one shows all of them
so it
too.
shows the choices. That's dope.
Awesome. That's cool.
I was worried that we just wouldn't, off of memory, wouldn't be able to discuss what we picked and why.
Right.
So you demanded recognition and equal rights.
Right.
And I demand. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's all that beer kicking in. So I demanded end of slavery and equal rights.
Okay.
So neither of us demanded free speech.
So you did the top two. You did the highest two.
I did,
equal rights
in
is
terms
69,
of each,
and end of slavery is 64. I did the 44, which is the third, and demand free speech is 21. So, all right, here we go to this one. All right, so then I demanded justice, which is the highest by far, and the second highest,
I did not
which is
demand
universal suffrage, which is 61. What'd you do on the second
I
one?
demanded universal suffrage. And what's universal suffrage again?
Ability to vote. It's vote basically.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Women's suffrage.
Suffrage, yep.
That's silly. Demand end segregation is what I did.
Okay, nice. Which is third on the list, and then right to work was the last, but 30%.
Right.
So this is all weird too when you look at the numbers because it's like 73, 61, 34, 30, and you're like, well, how does that all add up to 100? But again, the points are like
you get to choose two.
It's multiple choice, yeah. So the numbers are going to be up to 200%. All right. So then on the third one, I said, oh wow, I chose means of reproduction, which was 25%. The number one was demand right to own property, which is 56%. Yeah. So you did go the property route.
Right.
And then 18% was territory.
Yeah, again, mine was just this thinking of, in the past, we have granted the rights to not, directly fucking hurt people,
right?
And then not granted them equal rights to own property. Then later on down that line,
and use
those people that we granted rights are fucked up. Yeah.
And also, you made the point too that you were like, I also don't understand what it means to demand a reproduction rights, right? Like so.
Right.
So
and
that was
one
I don't
understand
that. Why would I fight for that if I don't even understand what that means?
Am I correct in thinking that you picked it because you just think that's an overall, living being, human right or whatever?
Yeah, I mean that's
from usually important, right?
Right, from a personal and from a professional standpoint, that's like important to me. So to think that that jumped out at me the moment that was my option. I was like, yeah, of course we'd want to know what our future is, right?
Once I figured out what it meant through yours, I'm like, shit, that took on a greater, I might reconsider that now, knowing that.
Right. So that's why it's cool.
I'm pretty sure I would reconsider that. Like,
right,
because
because
that's
when
more
you realize
important.
it after the fact, you're like, oh, that's cool, right? That's important,
Right.
but like you don't realize it until you say it, and that's why that's why playing the game multiple times is kind of interesting. So then
Right.
the last one, I ended peacefully,
Me
and then
too.
there was ended
It's funny because I
determinedly.
came in
Because you
like fucking
started
determinedly, not
determinedly, yep,
calm, but I ended peacefully.
right.
Like,
So
hey,
that
despite
again,
the
that
fact
was
that
so again, it comes back to
I
my
was like,
character,
listen up,
right?
motherfuckers.
My
But at the
character
end, let me back
was
up
that
and say we're all
I
cool.
wanted to come out as being the good guy here. Like my whole thing
Right.
was I wanted to stay chill. I wanted to be fucking. I wanted nobody to be able to say whether or not you fucking agree with us. Nobody could come back and say like what we are fighting for. We came across as being psychopaths. So like that's why I tried to
Right.
make all the decisions that kind of fit that path, which is kind of cool seeing them play out. The way they did. So
Right.
the SWAT team
And
stormed the room. Did you?
I actually, and going one last
Yep.
thing I like to say is like my point in my presentation was grab that mic and fucking make an immediate impact. Like wake
Right.
up, bitches,
Yeah,
I'm here. Pay
absolutely.
attention. And then
And
on
I
the
don't
way
think
out,
you
like
did it
I've been
differently.
pretty
Right.
heavy-handed in my demands, so now I want to leave on a nice note.
Right. Be like, I'm
Like,
not a
by the
fucking
way,
asshole.
kumbaya.
Absolutely. And I think that's so. I think the determined start or end. I think either one of those are still like they're positive, right? Because there was no one where it was like be a dick. It was just like it was just
Determinedly
yours.
could at the end after you've made a list of demands and you walk
Right.
out determinedly
Could
like
have
you
been
will
way more
comply with
negative.
these or like yeah.
Right. But your opening being like, yo, I have some shit I have to say, makes
Right.
sense.
That's
And
not
then
so bad, right?
ending with like, all right, I've made my point.
But we're
This
all
is why we
brothers,
want,
so
but
remember
we're all
that.
fucking family, right? So
Yeah.
whereas my guy came in way more like chill on front and chill on back end, but
Yeah.
I think it's
They
still
both
cool.
work.
Yeah, because they make sense. So that's cool. All right, so did you get the SWAT team storm the room?
Yes, because
All
I
right,
let
so
that guy go.
69%. Yep. All right, so Simon
Simon got
damaged,
fucked up.
69%. Try to save
Yep.
Simon, 60% of people.
No, I left him, dude. That was
Right out
I
of the
was.
gate, you left him.
It was because they left the timer was running, the heat was on, and I was like, I didn't like.
So
I
that's
didn't
when I
want to
picked
risk
him up and
another
threw him
one
on
of
my
those.
shoulder, right? Or
Yeah.
put him around my arm.
You didn't
and
even
carried
think
him. Yeah.
about it. I noticed.
Yeah.
So when I was watching, I was like, that wasn't even a choice. Like you didn't even. I didn't even see the choice pop up. That's how quick
Right.
you made it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But like, which was pretty fucking awesome. And you're like, no man behind.
Right.
And like for me, it was like the more I thought about it, the more it was like, dude, how much is at risk? I feel like if I go for him now, I'm getting clipped too.
Right.
And or other people are getting clipped, and like I don't think I can save him. And I
Right.
think if I do save him, especially again, right, only because the David Cage games have built up that
Right.
the threat. It's a real
fear
threat,
of
you know.
loss,
And so
yeah.
then, so it's to me, it's really easy in a video game if you know that there's probably not bad shit that's gonna happen. If you know that like every time you act like the superhero, you could just push buttons and get out of it and be a superhero.
Right.
You know, and to me, I was thinking if I make this choice, there may be no scenario in which I can press the right buttons and save him.
Right.
I may just be subjecting it so that like more of us get caught. So,
Right. So
I
it's
was
funny
like, he's
because-
clipped. Even if I grab him, I don't think he's making it off this roof. That was actually something that went through my head, which
Right.
ended up being the truth, right? In the end.
Right. So you were right, and it's funny because my whole thought was, yeah, I'm just not leaving him. Like, so it's because the discussion we had already talked about, right? Whereas like my version of Marcus is like, I'm not killing anyone. Like no one's dying today because of me. So when it came down to the fact that he was down, I was like, yeah, no, of course I'm trying to get him out. I might die, but I'm trying to get him out. And so it's interesting because neither one of those approaches are fundamentally wrong or right. It's just like you were like
I actually felt bad about myself. And this is what we're saying. We're just playing a video game, but I still felt bad about my choice, seeing you not even fucking think about it in a heartbeat and just grab him and go. You know, my guy was thinking more about overall mission success,
right?
Which is why he was. Ironically, we were both thinking about that. But when the moment came down to it, and your boy hit the ground, you know, like you said, you went for what was important to you. And my guy went in like that's why I didn't shoot the guy that was leaving the room. You know, I was like mission success for the reason, you know, for the reasons that you articulated before. And then that means like, hey, Simon got hit. He's not making it out of here. Like he's fucked up.
Right.
He's got hit twice now. You know, I'm like, I can't save him.
Right.
So I gotta go.
Right. See, that's why this is super cool. Like the choices that we have to make us realize you know, that the choices have impact, which is kind of cool. So Simon
so
was
you're
saved.
not you're going to be even more blown by the next unlocks that happen.
All right, so Simon saved 58%. What was yours?
Simon is killed 10%.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he just got fucking straight killed. So did
That's
you see him die?
Yep. Right in front of me. They fucking shot his shit up as I was like running out.
Oh fuck! Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, this game
So it was tough.
That's crazy.
Yeah. 10%.
Fucking crazy.
And that's the one. That's the unlock where. So you see where it says like right above where you like try to save Simon.
Yep.
And then so there's the one that goes all the way to the top, and then there's the one right under it with the little unlock right there. That's the one that says Simon is killed.
Okay. Wow.
And then that takes me directly to on the roof.
On the roof. Okay. So now we're at on the roof. So you don't.
So you left Simon and took him right to the roof. Yeah.
Right. Because Simon was saved. I brought him to the roof. So Simon can't continue 62%. You obviously don't have that.
I don't know. That's locked.
Run to jump. You have that.
99. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So leave Simon 51%. So I guess the alternative was obviously kill Simon. So I did not do that. Yep. And then reach roof's edge 98%. You have that, or do you have whatever's below that? Okay. So I don't know.
I got 51% unlocked for leave Simon as well, but he was already dead. So.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I don't even think there was an option for go back and get Simon's body to make sure they don't fucking pull his fucking memory or whatever.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, that's interesting. So I wonder what the alternative to reach roof edge was. But if you don't make it in time, maybe you get shot and killed. Oh, because no, because it goes to an end and it goes still to jump. So 99%.
No, if you don't if you don't reach the roof,
No, look, because it connects back to jump again.
Right.
So then media reacts. That was cool. So the group escaped, but Simon was left behind, 51%. And then there's two other options.
I got the group escaped, but Simon was destroyed, and that's the bottom one.
That's the bottom. What percentage was that?
21%.
Okay. So we still don't know from my end. I don't know if he's dead then.
28%. Yeah, you don't know what happened to him. I just know he was
left behind. Yeah, I just don't know. Mm-hmm. So then there's a middle ground where maybe I wonder, do you fucking save Simon? That can't be.
I don't know. Yeah, actually there would be, right? Because remember there's a scenario where he doesn't get shot.
Oh yeah, if you didn't fuck up the fucking if I had assaulted them immediately, maybe he didn't get shot at all. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Wow, that was a really fucking good. Was a real good fucking mission, dude. That was really
my favorites.
How fucking big that was. So much shit happened in that one. That was awesome, dude. That was a good one. I had a very good time kind of re-establishing my perspective on all these characters and like what their goals are and what my version of goals for them are. Like that was great. And the version of the speech I think was pretty well written, right? It felt believable, the speech. Like knowing that you're just clicking buttons on like, oh, what is the thing I feel important? That's fine. That is what it is. But like the fact that they didn't shit the bed on the way they actually spoke about those things that I clicked was pretty cool, right?
I've been watching House of Lies recently. Have you ever watched that show? It's on Showtime with Don Cheadle.
Yes, yeah. Yes, I have seen that. Yes.
All right. So first of all, I'll say that I don't like it. So at some point I'm planning to write a short review on it on our website again, www.livemancave.com, where we have movie and TV reviews. But I would say I don't really like it because I'm like, if you like Don Cheadle as a fucking dickhead, rich dude that's stealing from like even wealthier dudes, watch Black Monday, much better. Right. And what I didn't like about House of Lies was that they did this thing where I've seen it done in some other movies before, right? Where they build you up that this dude is a fucking slick talking motherfucker, that like he's Mr. fucking salesman. He can fucking break out the fucking sales technique to make you be like, oh shit, right? But then the dialogue is so bad. Like the acting in House of Lies was really good, but the dialogue was shitty. When you actually hear him spit the sales technique, it's like watching 8 Mile, but like you substitute Eminem with like Ja Rule. And you're like, ugh, like now it's not convincing. Like, and then you just watch a bunch of movie characters react to it like he just said the golden thing. And then you're like, now what do you want me to do? Just imagine that he said something cool? Because you wrote some shit in there, right? So, I was, so in this case, like to me, like the great shows are the ones more like a House of Lies, even though House of Lies is not really a serious show. It's kind of like dramedy kind of deal, because Seth Rogen is one of the main producers for it or whatever, and so it's funny and it's cool, but I mean, so it's not the best example of like amazing dialogue, but there are a few dialogue writers that are so good that like when they write it, like, you know, I'll even say like House of Cards in like seasons 3 or 4 or whatever like that, they'd have these like political issues where fucking Frank Underwood had to go in there and convince this other senator to do the shit he wanted to do. And the way he thought of doing it wasn't just your basic shit. Like the way he talked, the things he said, like jumped in, you're like, fuck, that was believable. That was like, fuck, I don't even, like, I couldn't have thought of that. Like I wouldn't have thought of that. Like that motherfucker did that was a really cool way of handling it. You know what I mean? And so like the writers make this guy what he is, not just because they tell you he's a good salesman, but because he is. And so what you said, the thing with his speech was really cool, having you point out, like, you know, you saying like, I want reproductive rights, but they don't just say, and reproductive rights, you know, instead they put it in a way where you were like, you would type something in and go, this is the sentiment I want. And it's almost like you had a fucking dope speechwriter to spit some shit out. You're like, oh shit, that was dope. That was it. So when the payoff is there, it's pretty awesome. That's my main point on that.
I totally agree. I think that is the benefit of not just making good decisions, but actually including good writing.
Yes,
that was a version of good writing, because they could have just
great plot points can be undercut by terrible dialogue.
Right, and subpar, you know, plot points can be made better by good writing.
True.
So
True.
They did a good job of kind of doing both, right? Because they made you realize, like, okay, this could have been okay, and we made it better by the fact that we actually we wrote those speeches well, right? I mean, like, fucking, let's be honest, Obama could have made okay points turned into amazing speeches because he had good speechwriters. And so, like, we'll never know, because we just know the version he came out and fucking crushed it. But we're like, yeah, if he had a shitty speechwriter who made his thing be about, like, hey, I finally agree that, like, you know, like, gay rights are important and gay marriage is important. If that shit was handled poorly, that could have been the worst thing of all time.
Especially if he said, I finally agree that they're important.
Right. If he had said that shit, that would have been fucking a bummer. But in reality,
which would have been accurate.
What we know is him actually giving a speech of saying, like, hey, this is fucking what's important now. And we're like, hey, we just forgot about the fact that, like, fucking 2 years ago, you said you didn't give a fuck about it. Like, because that's a good speechwriter.
By the way, I just want to say that in my watching of the video of where he said, I believe marriage is marriage and it should stay marriage or whatever it was, like, he was talking about it in the context of religion. So that's what and that goes back to the confounding of religion versus legal union.
I'm obviously kidding, because, like, yes, I don't fucking discount anything about his change of opinion. I think that's actually one of the beauty of what Obama was able to do, is say, like, hey, guess what? Like, your opinion's allowed to change. And the fact that we, like, get pissed at politicians because they change their opinion and act like they're flip-floppers is, like, a bad thing, is fucking the problem with Americans, that we're like, no, you made a decision, you need to fucking stand by it. I'm like, that's fucking crazy. But
even Malcolm X did a fucking 180 on some issues, and he was like, that he was vehement on early.
Yeah, so, I mean, and he is, like, one of the most psychopathic believers in certain things that he's believed in, and then changed his mind on that, right? So it's like, if you're willing to accept change for the average person, you have to be able to accept it across the board. So I use that example specifically for that, but why did we even bring that up in the first place? I don't even remember anymore.
Oh, just like on the importance of a speechwriter.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
dialogue.
making a speech or the dialogue be important is super important because it's like you can make a point, and the way you articulate that point are two different things, right? And so the way that
By the way,
story.
Glenn Ross or whatever was
Oh,
another
he's
movie I
about
disliked
that.
for that.
Oh, fucking dude, watch that. Watch that if you have ever been concerned about or confused about the idea of giving or making a point, like delivering a speech or a point in a way that can be incredibly um, powerful and more the way you deliver it can be more important than the message you're actually delivering. That is exactly what Glenn Ross is about, right? It's about like the way you say something can be in many ways more important than the actual message you're delivering. And this game did a very good job of taking a point that is very important and delivering it in a way that is even more important by the way that you're delivering it. It's made more important by the way you're delivering it. And like it could have been shitty because it could have been very glossed over and been bullshit and kind of like like whatever, like you said, like fucking also reproductive rights. All right, next point. What else do I have to say? Like the fact that he gave a speech that actually made sense and was believable, and actually it was like it tugged on your heartstrings in the way that he delivered it. That was good.
By the way,
that was good storytelling.
I just want to clarify and say, and like, Glenn Ross to me had been like a lot of people said it was good or whatever. And then when I watched it, I was so underwhelmed and let down by it, just because the acting was fucking awesome. The delivery by the actors was great. Like the fucking coffees for closers, that shit was great.
Right.
But when I actually heard the words that they were saying in their sales techniques, I remember thinking like, what the fuck is this? Is their salesman? Like they did such a good job of building up that this dude is like master salesman.
Yeah.
Like this is the guy that he'll say the shit that really fucking, amazing, and then fucking, and then what comes out of his mouth like, what? This is what what I was like, was the selling points?
Right, yeah. So you thought that the sales technique was shitty?
Yeah, from what I remember, maybe that wasn't the one. It's one of them I wrote about in our TV and movie, but I remember not liking that movie. I gave it like 2 stars. I mean, 2 mugs, right? 2 beer mugs. It was like a don't bother. It's because when I read my review, it doesn't focus on this. It's I hate fast-talking salesmen. I've had a few sales jobs, and although I was good at it, I hated doing it. Movies focused heavily on sales techniques and sales profession. It seemed very authentic. However, even the extraordinary cast couldn't stop me from getting annoyed at 100 minutes of sales pitches about prime land in Florida or Arizona. So actually, reading my review, that was not a good example of what I
didn't.
What I was talking about. I confused the movie, right? So the movie, I just didn't like the. It looks like I didn't like the.
You didn't like the topic of what it was about.
Right. And just I hate fucking fast talking. So I just didn't want to like sitting through such a long movie with people trying to sell people and fuck them over on real estate. Like I didn't like it.
So I would go the other end, and then I'm like that. The part of what is so good about that is that it's a warning to, the average person out there of like how easily you can get fucking bullshitted by somebody who comes in with a compelling sales pitch, right? So like that's what that movie is. That's what that movie is supposed to be about. And like you can like it or not, and that's okay. I don't think everyone has to like it. I think it's more that it's just about like they'll just come in and fucking boondoggle you on some bullshit. And that's that movie is kind of it's a cautionary tale in a way that's kind of scary, but in the way that like Wolf of Wall Street, right, is like just a person that you're like, fuck you, I don't like anything that you're doing, but I like the way that this movie is like teaching me maybe not to get fucked by people like you. I don't know, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just maybe it's making me be more enamored by it. But yeah,
Black Monday, those movies did decent examples of showing how somebody could get hoodwinked by these fast-talking motherfuckers.
Oh, you didn't think that? You didn't think that Glenn Ross did do a good job of that?
I don't want to see. So now I think I'm confusing my memory of it. I remember not liking it, but now reading my review, it doesn't. It's not like I remember. I wrote a review of a movie where I was like, "Dude, you built me up." Like I've definitely seen this happen in various legal movies where like some dude is supposed to be the amazing lawyer and supposed to come out and give this cross examination.
Like,
that's
garbage.
The shit.
Yes.
And then I listened to it and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like that was the fucking speech you built this dude as being like. I would have rather never heard him give a closing argument and just accepted you said he was the fucking man. You know what I mean? Because your writers were actually so shitty.
By the way, perfect example of that, which I always refer to, and it's one of my favorite movies like this of all time, is you referred to it earlier. 8 Mile is Papa Doc. Papa Doc, you never once hear him rap. You just hear everyone say how good he is, and that's actually really good storytelling because, first of all, Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, he's almost like
Anthony Mackie is like
whatever he's
gonna be shitty compared to the version that you've sold me on.
Right.
So the idea of the fact that you hype him up as this like fucking this monster of rap that I'll never like no one will ever be as good as, and then the only time you see him is he just puts the mic down and walks away. I'm like, that's actually awesome. Like that's kind of cool that you hyped him up and then made him just fucking like be the fucking he's the monster in the wings that I never actually see. And sometimes like you fuck up by showing your hand by being like, oh, you told me he's awesome, but then I heard him and he sucks. And it's like that's actually cool. It's cool storytelling to do that way. But we digress. That's a totally separate story. But anyway. But yes, I hear you.
Like imagine you sub out Eminem with fucking, fucking
legal,
6ix9ine.
Of course. Oh yeah, no, on that.
Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Tekashi 6ix9ine. Well, yeah, he'd be sexually assaulting a 12-year-old, so it'd be a weird movie.
And you're like, what? This is no. But fortunately, in this one, it was the exact opposite, where the shit you typed in actually got cooler once Marcus opened his mouth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think they did a good job on at least on all the things that I heard, because I'm sure there were other choices I didn't make, but the choices I made were all very well done for at least, especially for a video game. Where we have debating versions of like what our expectations are for a video game in terms of storytelling and writing, and sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not. This one they actually did a really good job of delivering on the moment where this is your moment. This is your moment to stand up and say, this is what the fuck is important to us, and that shit should be important, and it should be delivered with a level of gravitas and importance to the character as much as it is to you as the player. And so when you say like, no, we give a fuck about like being treated equally for suffrage, and you're like, all right, this shit is important because like the women fought a pretty hard battle for this. You better deliver on this. And then when he delivers, you're like, all right, that was cool. And then when you say like we should be treated as equals, and you're like, all right, so just so you know, a whole lot of minorities fought a pretty strong fight over this one. Don't fuck this one up. And then when he delivers, you're like, all right, that was cool. Like that's like you're adding a degree of importance to this that the rest of us playing the game recognize, and I'm really hoping that you also as the the director, the creator of the game, whatever, you also recognize. And so when they do deliver, it makes you feel like, all right, so you're not taking this lightly. You're not treating it with kid gloves. You're not fucking around. Like you're handling it and you're moving forward. So I was pretty pumped about that.
Right.
So that was cool, man.
And one last thing I'd like to say that this show that this video game just kind of that it does really well is it puts you in the predicament of actually being this leader, right? So when you look back and you're thinking, hey, Malcolm X, MLK, any of these other Harvey, what's his name? Harvey, for the gay community in San Francisco, Milk. Right. Yeah. Like
Susan,
so you
Who's the women's suffrage? Is it Susan B? No,
Susan B. Anthony.
Susan B. Anthony. Is it? That's not Susan B. Anthony.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of them.
Is it? Okay. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But if you think it's just about gather people, voice your opinion on the subject, gather people around you and get them riled up and get them to follow you and make demands. Like, no, there are some hard decisions, and heavy is the crown. You know what I mean? And it's a recurring theme with Marcus. He's already been thrust into a situation where you're like, fuck, that's a tough decision. What would I do? And the game doesn't just let you sit there as a bystander. You're forced to make the decisions.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. It was Susan B. Anthony, by the way. So good call.
And I'm not thinking that by any means. I don't think this is a spoiler, but if you think this is the last tough decision Marcus is going to make, you got another thing coming.
No, absolutely. So I don't think that's a spoiler. I'm pretty sure that I'm comfortable with that, and I do think, if nothing else, what this one did was it allowed me to cement in my head my Marcus. Right, like this was the defining moment for me to be able to say, like, here's the mistakes that I've made, and here's the decisions I want to make because of the learnings I've had from those mistakes. And so hopefully, I have no idea because we're going to keep playing it, but like hopefully those learnings will persist, right? And I will continue to be the Marcus I want to be based on the things I've learned.
Or you'll get put in a difficult situation, and
right,
you might
and I'll be broken by that, right?
And
I may have to change, and so that's cool, right? Because that's the way it should be. It should be make or break based on the decision or the moment that you're in. You know what I mean? So like, I just overall, this was probably one of my favorite episodes or missions or whatever, in this entire game, because it allowed me to get a little bit of the tension of the heist moment, the kind of thing that you're like, oh, I'm breaking in, I'm doing this thing and that. So you had all the kind of gameplay mechanics part of it that was fun.
Yeah.
But then you had to
make a little bit of everything,
then
right?
you had to make the decisions. That is the other thing that I've already established, like from the last episode prior to this one, that I like is like to make decisions that mean something, make the decisions that matter. And so you got a little bit of all that in a way that, and also going against decisions that like could make the situation be resolved faster / easier / better, but you also choose to make the decision that goes in line with the character where you're role-playing them correctly. It had that too, right? Where it was like, I clearly could have been like, I'm going to shoot these motherfuckers. Like, yeah, it'll end this interaction faster, but like that's not the character I want to play. So the moment you have to role-play this game instantly makes it better, right? Across the board, we've said that. It makes this game better when you play a character, when you play them straight the way that you have believed they would act from the beginning. It's always going to be better than if you just fucking do it as I'm just trying to mainline this, this thing. Can I get from here to there faster? Can I get from here to there better? Can I S rank this? Like, that shit's not interesting to me. I want to just fucking play it out as how would Marcus react? And I have an established Marcus, and I played it, and let's see what happens. So that was pretty awesome. I'm down with it.
Good shit. So our next mission is going to be back to Connor.
Yep. And the best part is this one was how long did we play? 20 minutes? 25 minutes?
How long did we talk about it?
Talked for fucking 2.5 hours, so well done.
Jesus, we had a lot of shit.
We did talk for roughly about 40 minutes before we even started just about our beers.
Just about beer?
We were very excited about our beers, so it's all good. Those beers were fucking worth it, so that was awesome. This is a good time, dude.
Yes,
I had a very good time playing on this one tonight, so I'm looking forward to the next one with Connor again as we get to bring back in.
And it's like I'm so torn because I'm like, I was so looking forward to this one, to see what choices you'll make, and now like you're done with this one, I can't wait to see what choices you'll make in the next one. It's just really cool. Like, in the next few that are coming up, you're gonna see like you have more awesome choices to make, and amazing story turns and all that shit. So. Just really looking forward to it.
Just because by the way, we're in the last like third, right? We're kind of on the rumble home, right?
That's about right.
Okay, I just want to make sure so I understand. So we're getting there. We're getting close to C. So right now all the decisions are kind of rumbling towards the end, which I think adds weight to all the decisions we have to make. So that's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to the next one, man.
You probably got your money's worth out of this game, though, huh? It's a lot of good hours.
Oh hell yeah! No, I'm not. I'm not. If for no other reason, so I will say this, and this is like not even, I'm not like I'm not speaking hyperbole or joking or whatever, but like this game would have been fun had I played it by myself. This game is infinitely more fun because we're doing this. Because like having the dialogue about it afterwards changes like it makes you rethink all of your decisions. It makes you you know, reinforce your decisions and give reasons why you made them. It allows you to see where you fucked up and where you think you know, made strong. If I played it by myself, I would have played this thing. I would have moved on. Right? I wouldn't think about it too much. You kind of deal with it and you move on. Whereas like this,
I do think the game inspires you to, once you're done, to want to go back and play it again. But then you're stuck in that weird like I was, where like I don't want to make decisions, just make decisions. Let me like tell a friend about this shit and get that motherfucker to play it and let me watch.
Absolutely. And so I think the value right now of like hearing you tell me decisions you made that are different is way more interesting than me just going back and replaying everything again, right? Because some of it I'd see the same, some of it I'd see different, but like hearing you say like, oh, that thing you just did, this is how it happened for me, is way cooler to me, because I'm like, it's kind of very Telltale-ish, right? Where I'm like, so this is my version of the story, that's your version of the story, and it's cool that those versions are very different, but like I don't have to replay it to see them. I just get to hear you tell me what you went through. And so it's like, I don't know, that's why it's been way more fun playing this game as a Ready Player 2 than just playing it as a CraigMakk's just playing the game.
This is like the quintessential to me, like, I mean, I'm sure we'll pick a really cool one next time. Yeah. That'll, you know, but in its own right, in its own unique way, this is really top tier. This is like, but this is amazing that like one of our best Ready Player 2 games is a one-player game.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I mean, think about it. The fact that this game, which will probably take you 13 hours to beat, is going to be a fucking 50-hour fucking, you know, marathon of us talking about it, just because there's that much shit
and
to
one
talk
that
about.
I'm not even playing. I'm just watching you play and talking.
I know. Part of that,
and I'm enjoying the fuck out of it.
I do feel bad that I'm like,
enjoying
I'm
the fuck out of it.
Yeah, I know. Next one, if we play another single-player game, it's definitely going to be you and me just talking shit in the background.
Nice.
All right, dude. On that note,
all right, man.
It's fucking super late. We should probably call it a night. But it's been a good time. Thank you very much. We are ready for next Ready Player 2, which we will get going ASAP. But thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, next one's going to be called Public Enemy.
We are live from the Man Cave. I am CraigMakk. You are?
Serious Jest, Public Enemy #1.
And we will see you next time on Ready Player 2. Peace.